Hello and welcome to EVTV's presentation of East Brunswick High School athletics. This evening we are here at the high school to observe and comment on the wrestling match between East Brunswick and Piscataway. Very close match we anticipate. I'm joined this evening, my name is Charlie King, and I'm joined this evening by a gentleman who really needs no introduction here in East Brunswick, or in North Brunswick for that matter, Bob Cancro, who coached here for many years, an outstanding coach and an official. Still officiating, Bob?
Not on the mat. The knees don't hold up too well there, but still doing football.
Okay, still doing football, yes, and a football official as well. In looking at this evening's match, East Brunswick 7-2, Piscataway 9-3. When I looked at and I follow obviously in the papers after each match, it seems as though East Brunswick has lost to Old Bridge and South Plainfield, and Piscataway also, and almost by similar scores. So that would tell me, at least on paper, that we can look for a very close match here this evening.
This is going to be a very close match, or it should be, based, as you said, on paper. The Chiefs have come in and they've lost close matches. In fact, of the three losses, all of them are relatively close. And as you said, the Old Bridge match, which is really the benchmark, I guess, for both teams, was close. 6 points that the Bears lost by, and I think it was a 6-point decision that Piscataway lost by as well. So they're matching up pretty well.
So, but as we know, the matchups are key. Wrestling is a team sport in that there's a total score. But each one of those individuals that get out here on this mat, there's nobody else out here at that time, so the matchups are really critical.
You've got an interesting matchup in that Piscataway is very strong up top. Coach's son, Matt Valla, was up there at 171, and that's going to be a good matchup with John Clay, who's one of the tri-captains for the Bears. You've got a couple other kids at top, very strong. Bishop at the 275 weight class. They're very strong up top. The Bears tend to be, if you want to look at a strength, down lower weights, although the interesting this year is Glenn Pazinko has a pretty balanced lineup. They're strong top to bottom, and yet the Bears are still, you might say it's a lower weight class, and Coach Bill Volivo, when I was talking to him earlier, he said, he sees the two sides, the strength of the Bears down below, the strength of the Chiefs up top.
Okay, in basketball, we always talk about the home court advantage or the home gym advantage, and I often wondered how much that comes into play in wrestling. In other words, is this mat that we're standing on here an advantage for the Bears?
Well, you always want to have things go well in your house. And I always go back to, and I mentioned you earlier, a former coach here, another great coach, Paul Quirk, used to say, I want to have my own scale, if nothing else. So that was always a strength, having your scale to weigh in on. And it's always nice to be at home. You're close by. You don't have to travel. You don't have to get on that bus and make that long haul. And granted, Piscataway, East Brunswick is not that far, but still, it's aggravating. And you get on the bus, and we have a pretty good crowd here. They get a little loud. The kids who sit up at the top get a little rambunctious once in a while, and they have a lot of fun. So it's always nice to have your crowd with you.
Okay, we will be right back with the start of this evening's match in just a few moments. Ken, good evening. We're just about ready to get underway with the opening ceremonies, and this evening we are going to be introducing the seniors. Tonight is senior night here as the Bears host the Piscataway Chiefs.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to East Brunswick.
And we're going to honor the senior members of the wrestling team and their parents for their commitment and dedication to the wrestling program. They have provided us all with many enjoyable memories over the years, and they will certainly be missed, and I know they're all sorry to leave us with such an outstanding season that they've all had this year. So we're very happy to introduce them. And we're going to have the first introduction, manager Jacqueline Cancro with parents Bob and Jan. And of course, Bob is my partner this evening, so after the introductions, he'll come up and join us here at the table. And Brian Ackerman with his parents Ken and Suk. Brian is an outstanding wrestler and has been in his 4 years here at East Brunswick. Brian Campbell with his parents Bob and Doreen. Brian also an outstanding participant on the football field. And the next to be introduced is John Clay with his parents Pete and Sally. Again, an outstanding wrestler. Jamie Guido and his parents George and Leslie. That's a wrestling name, the Guido family. And we have next is Nate Mull with his parents Dom and Tamoy. And last but certainly not the least of the outstanding seniors this year, Dmitry Kuznet with his parents Boris and Marina. And the outstanding contribution that they have made here at East Brunswick High School, and we certainly appreciate that. You can hear a nice round of applause from the spectators in the house. They appreciate their efforts, and each one of the mothers gets a little kiss from their sons and a little bit of a flower decoration, which I know they appreciate, because those mothers preparing those meals and trying to get them ready to go at each one of the wrestling matches. So we're about ready for the introductions. So as the wrestlers line up, as you can see in your picture, line up on the mat for the introductions, we will have the opening lineups. I might add, joined, congratulations, Bob, your daughter is the statistician and an outstanding one. Earlier this season, we were here for the Vikings, by the way, and South Brunswick, and she provided us with, kind of kept us straight and provided us with the needed information. And the service that she provides to this team is, you really can't measure it. And I'm not because she's your daughter, but I'm talking about all statisticians and young ladies or young men who contribute in that fashion to the success of a team.
Thank you, Troy. And if they do it right, they take a great deal of pride in what they do. They want to get it right.
Right.
She gets very upset if there's inappropriate markings in that scorebook, and she wants to make sure that it's correct. And as Glenn writes in his coach's comment in tonight's program, it's invaluable when you get to the States, when you get to seating meetings. You have to have that information, and it's got to be right.
Accurate information.
And it's very important because they keep that NJSIA stat sheet in the back of the book, and that's a vital part of what they have to do. And we're getting the introductions now with
at 101, I think.
Mike Corona. He is a freshman against Jeff Osley for the Chiefs.
And at 112, I think we had Corey Richings, a 10th grader, against Ian Forrester. Is that
Ian Forrester or Rob Rabowen? One of those two will be wrestling at 112, and the other one will be taking on Johnny Park at 119. John also
just introduced there. Johnny at 6-3 this year, and an outstanding record. And we have Carmen Corona, 11th grader, at 125. And what is that? Tom Hemmerly for Piscataway.
Tom Hemmerly for the Chiefs coming up. And at 1:30, we go to Jamie Guido for the Bears and Tim Loria for the Chiefs.
Right, and let's see. Next, we're going to have Brian Ackerman at 135 for the Bears, a 12th grader against Kyle Paulson, also a 12th grader from Piscataway.
Yeah, that should be a pretty good matchup. Paulson is 12-0 on this season, so he's one of their top wrestlers at 135 pounds. And at 140, Timmy Ackerman, brother of Brian, and he's got a 12-4 record going up against Kevron Joseph, one of the two twins, the Joseph twins on the Chiefs.
Right, and we have Jason Shelby for the Bears, a 10th grader, going up against Kevon Joseph for the Chiefs.
That's our other twin, and where the match will be starting tonight at 152 pounds, Matt Merrigan, a junior for the Bears, and Rob Oren for the Chiefs.
Okay, and we have one of our outstanding seniors that was introduced this evening who will be graduating, Dmitry Kuznets, against a 9th grader, Rob Dawson, for the Chiefs.
Yeah, it seems that Bill Volova's team has an awful lot of freshmen in there. Surprisingly, a number of freshmen on that lineup. We have 1, 2, 3 starters. That's not too common. I'm sorry, we just missed John Clay at 171
well, that's all right.
pounds.
John Clay at what 171, and that's against the coach's son there, Matt
Valova. And at 189, Nate Mull was just introduced, one of the other seniors. He's got a 9-7 record, and he's up against Chris Jones, and that brings us to 215 pounds, where we saw Brian Campbell and Devron Thompson for the Chiefs.
Okay, and at the, I guess the 275 or super heavyweight, the Bears, Ralph Dennis at 2-9 against Brian Bishop. Okay, we're going to have the national anthem, and this evening it's going to be sung by Jane Rinsky.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Very nice job by
Very
Jane
nice.
Rinsky.
Oh, I'm telling you, I marvel every time we come here to an athletic event, and our outstanding vocal music department has one of their students come down and sing the national anthem. If you think that's easy.
No, I mean, I don't have the, we have enough, and you've spoken in front of large crowds, and I've spoken in front of large crowds in different capacities, but when you get right down to it, singing, and especially something like the national anthem, which is not the easiest thing to sing, is a wonderful thing.
It is. And,
tremendous job.
An outstanding job. And, I noticed on the back of the Bears, the warm-up shirts, I guess, it's all about pride.
Right.
And, I think that's so apropos, because when you're out there on that mat, there's nobody to look to for help. The coaches try to give you a few pointers, but when some guy is throttling your head pounding it into the mat, you wonder, how am I going to get out of here? But so it becomes a matter of pride.
It really is about pride. I think the last couple of years, the Bears have been up and down. They haven't had some great records. But the kids keep coming back, and I think the idea that I'm out there, I'm going to put myself on the line, as Matt Merrigan is doing right now at 152 pounds, that says a great deal about the kids. And, of course, as a wrestler myself and coaching wrestling, I always felt it was the greatest sport in the world. But, again, I have a little bit of a bias.
Well, it certainly tests the mettle and the pride of the individuals out there, and nobody has more pride than this guy out here for the Bears, Merrigan. As I have said every time I watch him wrestle, I say, don't go to the refrigerator because you're going to miss something. He's exciting.
Quick takedown by Rob Urin for the Chiefs. And, Matt has, you're right, Matt has a tremendous amount of pride, a tremendous amount of heart. He took his lumps as a freshman, as a sophomore, but he's always come back. He wrestles very hard. He's wrestled very smart. He's stronger now than he's been in a couple of years. So he's really showing a great deal of promise, and that 11-4 record says a great deal about what he's been doing.
I mean, I've seen him on his back, and you think it's over with, and that pride, that East Brunswick green just comes out, and next thing you know, he's up and he's back on top. So he gets an escape there. So we're just over 1:20 to go, and Piscataway up 2-1 against Merrigan of East Brunswick.
Aaron obviously feels very comfortable on his feet. He let Matty go very quickly. That takedown was in the first 20 or 30 seconds, and then he gave the one, and he has gotten in there a little bit. Matt's a little upright. He shot a couple times, hasn't been able to penetrate, and he got caught there, but he came back up. But Oren for the Chiefs had a pretty good grip on the back of his knees. but obviously does feel comfortable on his feet.
So what you're saying is that Merrigan, if he's going to shoot and go down there, he's got to finish that.
He's got to finish it off. He's gotten in part way. He hasn't been able to penetrate. He's kind of gone in at an angle a few times, so he hasn't gone straight through. And you always, just like a runner, you go run through the finish line. The same thing with a wrestler. You don't just stop at the legs. You got to
finish that move. You got to finish that move, because if you don't, you get caught. And obviously, the first takedown, I think Merrigan probably a little off balance and got caught.
And Oren gets in there again. He's got a whizzer in to protect himself, does Matt, and he recovers pretty quickly, and they go out of bounds.
No points. So we're down to 24 seconds in the first period. Still 2-1 Piscataway.
Quick shot by Oren.
He's shooting a double leg. Huh?
He's been getting in there, and he's getting in there. So Matt's got to get those guns up, got to get those hands up. Matt's got a single on there. He switches to the double, and he's
got to keep him
lift
on the mat.
Inside. That should be 2.
Yeah.
Nice work by Matt Merrigan to get that takedown. Got the single, switch to the double. And now he's working on there with 3-2-1 seconds remaining.
There's the horn. That's the end of the first period with Merrigan. Don't go to the refrigerator. 3. What urine is it? Is that the
Oren? I guess.
Oren.
Rob got that first takedown for the Chiefs, and very early on gave him the 1. And while he still got some penetration there, Matt defended very well. And then at the end finished up there and now has a 1-point lead going into the second period.
Just to remind those that may not watch wrestling on a regular basis, we have 3 2-minute periods.
Right.
And you think 2 minutes is a short period of time? Go out there and try to wrestle, right?
It is the longest 2 minutes. You know, when you're in that third period and you're tired and you've had a real knockdown drag out, it's interesting. You know, I love football and I officiate football, but at one of my clinics, or officiating clinics this year, they said they did a study of college football, and the average amount of actual playtime in a 60-minute game was 12.7 minutes. So as much as they bang heads in there and crunch each other, their actual time in contact is only about twice as long as a wrestler is going to put in there on the mat.
And I'm not saying a football player would ever take a play off or 2, you know, but out here it's one-on-one, and there's no taking off anytime because, and the nice thing I've seen with wrestling lately is there's very little stalling.
Well, they've changed the rules. A couple years ago, you had kids taking timeouts constantly. So now they've put the injury limitations, the time limit in, the blood limitations. And you can't simply take the timeout because you're gassed. And because I think a lot of kids were doing that, and coaches were letting them do it. And it's in some extent, it came down to an ethical issue with the wrestlers. Matty working the power half there, or trying to work the power half, and was able to keep him in. He's worked from about 1 minute and 6 seconds, 54 left in the second period. Matt maintains control on top.
So in order for Matt to score now for our spectators at home, he has got to turn him.
He's got to turn him over, get some back points, and near fall points, which means he's putting his scapula or the shoulders within 6 inches.
Exposure to the mat.
Exposure.
Now, how long does he have to hold him there, Bob?
For near fall, it's 2 points. It's a 3 count, and a 5 count in that position is worth 3 points.
It's worth 3. Okay.
And they've even, talking about what you're saying, or going off of what you said before, Charlie, as Oren stands up, Matt does a nice job controlling him and bringing him back to the mat. He's trying to work the arm bar. Got the one-on-one underneath and trying to stretch out across. He rolled him through, but you can see the signal by the referee, Mark Blaska. He just rolled right through. There were no points.
16, we're down to 14 seconds left to go, and Matt Merrigan got a stalling warning on the Piscataway wrestler on the bottom.
That early flurry by Matt Oren as he got that initial takedown, he has slowed down a bit, and Matt has been able to control the situation. So a good job by Matt Merrigan. He will have choice now.
No score in that period, so we remain at 3-2 in favor of Merrigan. And this is one of those matches that East Brunswick has to win, I think, Bob.
This is an important one. Matt has come out there and wrestled, as you were saying, very strong. He's been done a good job, and Oren's going to give him the 1. He's going to give him the alternate start and let him go. He still must feel very confident on his feet. And so now with a 4-2 lead from Matt Merrigan, Oren figuring he can get that takedown. It didn't work in the first period, but he figures he can get it now. He gets the shot in, and Matt defends very well with a good sprawl. And obviously, Rob Oren for the Chiefs feels very strong and confident on his feet.
On his feet, right. Merrigan trying to get in there, and again, he kind of went halfway and thought better of it, backed up.
And he's got off balance, and that's the kind of situation that Matt has sometimes gotten himself into, but he has done a very good job with the whizzer. That's where he has that arm over the arm that's around his waist.
Now
and
give us the call on it. No points were awarded there.
No points
out
there.
of bounds.
They went out of bounds, and Matt was able to defend himself with what's called a whizzer. He's got the single right there. He worked in there. It looked like he had a kind of a shaky shot on that, but he was
He's in pretty tight right. He's in pretty tight right now.
If he can post that knee and angle a little bit, he's got a good shot at bringing him down. Now, at some point in here, if they don't get an advantage, they're going to get a stalemate. And he steps out. And Glenn is not happy about the call.
Now, the reason he's not happy, I don't know anywhere near as much as you do, Bob, about this, but only one foot was out. That's not constitute out of bounds, is it? I thought it was.
It should be a supporting point of both wrestlers.
Right,
and at that point, I think Matty had 1 foot out. I shouldn't be calling him Matty. He's a young man. Matt had 1 foot out. But I think what Mark Blaska saw was Rob Oren's foot down as Matt stepped out too, so it was kind of that momentary bang-bang situation.
Okay, and, we're down to, with the time there, wrestlers are going to come back to the center. We're down to 44 seconds, and we're at 4-2 Merrigan.
Now, Matt has to maintain an aggressive stance here because obviously, even though Oren's been called for stalling, referee, even though you said there's not a lot of it, he's got to be aggressive. He can't be backing up. He's got to keep shooting and at the same time not give up that 2 points. He's in a little bit of trouble now.
The weight, his weight is...
He's carrying the weight. He gets his legs under himself too far, and he's able to pull out of it. He's got that single. He feels good about getting in on that one leg.
We're down to 17 seconds.
Matt's got to hang on to that leg right now. Oren's got to pressure the head and try to spin for his 2 points, and he's not able to do it right now. Matt's got to lift, try to lift and turn.
7, 6, 5.
Got to block
4,
it and hold that.
3, 2, 1, nothing. Merrigan wins it 4-2.
Good job by Matt Merrigan.
Boy, he hung on to that leg.
Matt did a good job because that opening flurry by Oren got him the 2 points and really put Matt back, I think, a little bit on his heels, and he certainly was in a defensive stance an awful lot of it. But once he got the escape, which Oren gave him, changed the whole mode of the match. Matt got himself a little bit more confidence, and he's able to get that takedown at the end of the first period, which really was, I think, a key point.
But Merrigan's naturally an aggressive wrestler.
He's a good wrestler. He's been on the rec program. He's come up through the ranks, and he as I said, like a lot of kids, they take their lumps along the way. But Matt has worked.
We're at 160, Bob, right, with Dmitry Kuznets.
Dmitry Kuznets, he is
13-3.
Tough record against Rob Damon for the Chiefs. Dmitry is he seems to have no fear when he goes out of the mat.
Is this right? This is a 9th grader, this Piscataway wrestling?
It says that Rob Damon is a 9th grader, but for a 9th grader, he is a very tough and physical-looking young man.
And he gets 2.
Got the takedown. So now that's 2 wrestlers, and he's got locked hands, so that's going to break in a second here. And that's 2 Piscataway wrestlers who have been able to get the initial takedown. And
why don't you give us a take on that locked hands?
When a wrestler is in control and they're on the mat, he cannot lock his hands around his opponent's body. That's either overlapping or actually locking the hands, unless they're in a pinning combination. At that situation, Dmitry was turning out a switch or a sit out, and Rob Damon just locked up in order to prevent him from doing that. And of course, that by the wrestling rules, that's an unfair advantage. Quick flurry in there on some shooting, and he's going to have the 2 points. He keeps his toes in bounds, and that was a change in the rules a few years ago that allowed that kind of control by the shooting wrestler, by the offensive wrestler.
Okay, we got 119 with Dmitry up 4-2.
Starting out very similar to Matt Merrigan's match, the takedown by Piscataway, the escape, and then the takedown by the Bears. I was starting to say now 2 wrestlers in a row, the first 2 wrestlers for Piscataway have been able to, and again now Dmitry locking hands, same situation.
1 point for Piscataway.
And the 1 point for the escape, so that's actually 2, so we're tied up now. Should be tied up, right? 2, 3, 4. Should be 4-4.
The scoreboard still shows 4-3 East Brunswick, but I think you're right, it should be 4-4.
Both Piscataway wrestlers have gotten the initial takedown, and when I was coaching, one of the things I always talked about with the kids, and boy, you're always going to see a little bouncing on the part of Dmitry when he's out there. And this is something I picked up from my father, who was a wrestler back in the dark ages.
Get a cradle, right?
You always get those first takedowns. He's trying to get had the whizzer in there to prevent it. And I don't know if that score is right. And Bill Volova is going to check on that.
Here comes the coach from Piscataway, Bill Volova. I think that it's 4-4.
They're going to check that score. And Mark Velasco talking with the table. And they had the 4-4. And they were changing that. That's one of the things that I always think a coach has to be on top of. He's got to maintain in his head what that score is, because there are going to be mistakes that are made in a sport like this where you have that back and forth so quickly.
Yeah, it goes quickly.
You've got to make sure you're on top of it.
And sometimes the official can't. I mean, he's watching the match and trying to officiate it, and keeping score at the same time can be difficult.
It is a real challenge, and a lot of times you've had a flurry where 4 or 5 points have gone back and forth on both sides, and suddenly you've got a break, and they've got to come over to the table and actually recreate that whole.
Right, a change of possession, change of control, and boom, somebody's back or shoulders were exposed. Well, we're down to 7 seconds here, and it's 4-4 in the second.
The Chiefs have been pretty aggressive on their feet, and they have penetrated a little bit on both Matt Merrigan and here on Dmitry Kuznets. But we now have the second period at 160 pounds, and Kuznets takes the defense on the bottom.
We're all tied up here, 4-4 at 160 pounds.
We thought it was going to be a close match overall, and these first 2 bouts have shown to be just that.
Well, here we go.
And
he's going to let him up again.
Damon gives him the optional start, and he gets the 1 point, and Kuznets takes a 5-4 lead very early here in the second period.
I was just watching Dmitry kind of bring his legs up, and it seemed to me that would hurt your balance, but maybe he's looking for balance there.
Well, I don't necessarily think that Dmitry is what I would consider an orthodox wrestler. I think he does a lot of things that, and this is not a criticism. It's just he
unique style.
His positioning is a little bit unique. He's very. He's almost oblivious, you might say, to what's going on. He's backing up a lot, and at some point, Mark Blaska may look at that as stalling. He got away with a little bit there because Damon got in, and he was able to turn and get out of it.
I don't think Damon might have shown that he was a freshman there, because normally you see I don't know, a wrestler get somebody from behind like that is normally converted to points.
Absolutely, and you got some experience, and certainly Piscataway's got a good rec program when they have kids coming up. But when you get behind and you're in that deep, you can't let that go. The same thing as in the first period.
Exactly the same situation. Dmitry is up, Bob. Dimitri's up 7-4 with 56 seconds remaining.
He switched to that double. Damon, I think, just thought he was going to get out of bounds and pull away.
Right.
Dmitry hung on to the legs, and with the toes in bounds, that's control. And therefore, now a 7-4 lead with 56 seconds here in the second period at 160 pounds.
Okay.
That's a caution on. Did not take a good starting position. Was not on the elbow, like Mark Velasco was saying.
That's against East Brunswick, a caution.
Against East Brunswick.
2 cautions?
3 cautions, and then it's points. And I think those were good change in the rules a few years back.
Right, they used to be. I saw a guy one time in a state tournament with a caution situation. Certainly was awarded points and cost him the state championship.
Well, we had an illegal hold there. It looked as if he cranked the arm up illegally. He's explaining it to Dmitry now, Mark Blaska is, and he pushed. I think he had the bar in there or the chicken wing, and he just cranked it up a little bit. Now Glenn Pazinko
is over to the table.
Trying to hear a little bit of the explanation, but I can't quite make it out.
You know, is this new in terms of the coaches coming to the table? I mean, for years, you never saw a coach approach the table.
Except for me. That was
occasionally, yeah.
Well, I always wanted a question. I think it's actually toned down a lot. I think years ago, again, when I first started, you're going back, 30 years ago, there was a lot of questioning at the table, and today I think there's actually a little bit less.
A little bit less, okay.
They're giving them more explanations. I think one of the things in officiating across the board, there's a greater expectation on the part of officials to explain what's going on to the coaches. They've made a call. They've made an objective or subjective decision, even though it's based on an objective rule. And a lot of coaches expect some kind of clarification, and Glenn was looking for that. I think he felt that
Kuznets might have had a legal hold that simply turned illegal with the chicken wing while he was in the motion, in which case he might have been just called for a potentially dangerous, but I think Mark Blaska felt he just cranked it right off the bat.
Okay, the official awarded 1 point to Piscataway for that, what he thought was an illegal move.
Right, now he's had 2 violations, one on the clasp and one on the this. And the next, actually the next violation against Dimitri, should he have something, and we have about 30 seconds left here in the second period, would be worth 2 points.
2 points.
So he's got to be careful in how much he's, how aggressive he is, and at least doing it legally.
We're down to 27 seconds in the second period, and we have Dmitry Kuznets up 7-5 over the Piscataway wrestler.
This match doesn't seem to have
there doesn't not much flow to it. Yeah,
no,
maybe
it's been very choppy. The points, this and that. He's going to give him the one. He's going to let him go, it looks like. And they're going to try on their feet.
I'm not. Okay.
I'm not quite sure because, as I said, Dimitri tends to be a little bit unorthodox, but he has gotten takedowns. He's gotten 2 takedowns on Damon, and it may have been a failing that in the last 20 seconds or so he might be able to do the same thing. Now there too, I think, had Dimitri had a little more balance.
This only pays off if he gets 2.
Absolutely, and then right now he just cost himself the point, and that was it. The period's over, and Damon's going to have the choice.
So we're at 7-6 here at the end of 2. So I don't. I don't understand. I mean, I understand why you'd let him up if you were going to take him down, so you trade 2-for-1 situation. But he didn't. Dimitri didn't even go after that aggressively. I
think if you're going to do that, with 20 seconds or so left in the period, which is what happened there, you really, as you said, have to be more aggressive about it. And he was a little bit sloppy, in all honesty, and not really penetrating. He got close once, but he really didn't finish it off. And he got the cross body in there.
And he looked at Coach Piscataway, and Coach Piscataway said, "Put him down and keep him down there." I don't know if he let him up with the instructions of the coach prior to that. Well,
he's going to go with the alternate start again.
Now he let him up.
We're tied. Now, of course, this is a tie now with 1 minute and 50 some odd seconds to go. So at this point, get the 2 points, control the situation. He gets in on the single, nice duck under, but he's got to pull him back in. Either get control with his feet in bounds, and now he's out as his knee crosses the line. So he got in there nicely on a single with a duck under, but again, it was very close to the line, and Damon was able to use the line as his the 6th man, so to speak, or the 12th man, and get out of bounds.
Okay, we're 7-7 here with 1:30 remaining in the third and final period. Dmitry Kuznets, the Bears need to get this match.
It is important. You're right, Charlie, because the next 4 bouts or so are going to be tough ones for the Bears. Right. Chris Jones, Devron Thompson, Brian Bishop are pretty solid wrestlers, and the Bears have records of 500 or maybe a little bit less in some of their wrestlers. So it's a tough one, with the exception of John Clay at 171.
Right.
But they're going up against the Piscataway coach's son, so he's got to have something going for him. So this is important to get a second bout early on, get some points on the board for the Bears, because you're going to have very tough bouts coming up with the next 4.
Right.
He gets in on the single. He's got to turn the corner.
Keep going.
Post it, finish it. Oh. That should, well, I'm going to question that a little bit. I thought he had him he was on his hips. And I thought he had the control before he went out of bounds. And it looks like Damon might be hurt.
He pointed to his knee or his thigh there.
A little question there. Now Phil Hostler, the East Brunswick trainer, is going over to assist the Piscataway coaching staff. That's the assistant coach, Rod Solomon, who's right there with Damon.
Coach Piscataway, I rarely see him get excited, he certainly disagreed with that call.
I'm not going to disagree with
you.
Glenn.
Did too.
I thought that was close enough for 2 points.
And I know officials stick together, so I mean we don't want. I've never criticized an official.
Mark Blaska's a very good official.
He's
worked on the state level.
Sure.
But that's a judgment call. Now, Glenn, you talk about Glenn never being negative about a lot of things. Glenn's been a lot more animated this year, I think.
Yeah, he has. Well,
and
the Bears have been highly competitive.
Absolutely.
This Piscataway wrestler, I don't know. We're looking at Coach Piscataway on this side, but on the other side, we have his leg is what hurt, and they're rubbing his arms. Well,
I'm not
I
quite
don't
sure what
underst-
happened there.
I'm not sure I understand that.
Yeah, he used 1 minute and 6 seconds of his 2-minute injury time.
Could it be that he was a little bit tired? I said before that I hadn't seen that, but he certainly.
Well, he's gotten caught now 3 times on the edge of the mat, and he almost gave up the 2 points right there. Now at this point, with 42 seconds left, a quick shot in there by Damon, and he gets Dimitri's ankle.
That must have been a little coaching point. Maybe that was part of the massage that he got.
They're not supposed to be coaching during an injury time, so hopefully there wasn't any commentary there.
I mean, we all know that there was coaching going on. If there's not supposed to be, what is the penalty for that?
Well, technically it's unsportsmanlike conduct if a coach is coaching during an injury time. They can coach during blood time because obviously you can't fake blood. But Dimitri was able to get out of that ankle pick that Damon put on him, but he's got 15 seconds.
15 seconds to go, and Dimitri's got to take him down.
Not a great shot there. Flopped down as he got in.
And he can't give up any points at the same time.
Good recovery by Dimitri to sprawl out there. 2-1.
Gonna be no points.
And we're going to go to overtime.
7-7 is the.
Well, it was interesting that Dimitri gave up, I believe it was almost 3 points in the course of that match.
Well, he gave up the
on the alternate start and
right.
never was able to do anything with it. So really,
well, that was the first one. Was the end of the first period, and he let him up and
right.
got nothing out of it, nothing for him.
And he did it again here.
Right.
So we've got 1 minute in overtime. In this case, it's sudden death on the first point scored.
First points, it's over with.
And it's over. If they don't score here, then they go to the right-up. Little duck under. And they're out of bounds with 46 seconds. So
he was a lot quicker with that call there.
Yeah.
And probably that comes from a little hesitation on the last one. All right, 46 seconds. First points wins.
Just dove at him there. Got it on the single. He's got to finish. If he can do it inside, he's got to turn him inside. Now he's got the leg standing up. Pull him inside.
He's trying to pull
right there, and there's the 2 points. That's exactly what he's done 3 times. Actually 4 times, didn't get the points, but the 3rd time is the charm.
You know what that is, from my perspective, again, Dimitri Kuznet, a senior, that's experience.
Yeah.
Is that
a little bit of experience? He knew what he had to do there. It wasn't necessarily the prettiest situation, but he was aggressive. He got on that leg, finished off the move. A 9-7 victory in overtime for Dimitri Kuznets and a 6-0 lead for the Bears, and that brings us to 171, a big match as we go into these upper weights. John Clay for the Bears, one of the tri-captains, coming in at 16-1 against Matt Valiva, and Valiva is a sophomore.
10th grader. Unfortunately, we don't have Matt's record here, which
the Piscataway managers, unfortunately, were not able to give us any records. They didn't have their state sheet with them, and which I questioned.
Yeah.
But
now, when I'm looking at Clay, John Clay's got a nice set of arms on him.
John is very well built. He's worked hard at developing his body.
I guess that's why he's 16-1.
He's 16-1. He's a smart kid. He's hoping to go to Johns Hopkins next year and hoping even to wrestle down there. He's been accepted.
Great.
And that's something for him. He earlier in the season at the Raider Invitational, he was one of the 5 champions that the Bears had at the North Brunswick tournament. And John, in this situation, in a leadership role. And right now, this is a very important match for the Bears, as we said, with Nate Mull coming up, 9-7 record. Brian Campbell at 4-4. Ralph Denise at 2-9. The Bears are not as strong coming up here in the next few bouts as they are in other weight classes. So for John to get a win here would be very important for the team. You know, as you said earlier, Charlie, it's a team sport based on individuals, and this is one individual who Glenn Pazinko was counting on to come through with some points.
Okay, we're under a minute in the first period with no score. The wrestlers kind of feeling each other out. I think you tend to see more of this at the upper weights. Is that accurate?
I think on the high school level especially, you're going to see a lot more of it. You go to a college match, and from top to bottom, all 10 of those bouts are speed bouts.
Okay.
Even at the heavyweight. But I think in the upper weight classes, in large measure, you see a little more
as a general
pulling each other. You know, John trying to get the Russian on the one arm there with a trip.
We're down to 28 seconds. Still, wrestlers kind of feeling each other out.
A little pushing and pulling there. John had, trying a few things, but not a lot. Neither wrestler being overly aggressive in this situation. And seeing what the other side has. I think certainly Matt Valiva knows John's record. He's been told that by Dad, and Matt and John Clay certainly recognizes that even though this is a sophomore he's wrestling, he's a kid who's been in wrestling for a long time, and he has certainly a lot of experience.
Whose dad understands the nuances of the sport. And
not only his dad, but his grandfather, who was Dick Volova,
right,
and a coach at Rutgers and an Olympic champion.
Well, a great history of wrestling, and and when you grow up with it, you know, it's like the coach's son in basketball. Everybody wants them usually as their point guard. You know?
and we've seen that in some corners of this part of the county.
We certainly have. Okay, we're down. We're in the second now. Clay in control, and he needs to keep him down on that mat and turn his shoulders to score.
Volova stands, but able to be taken down by John with that high leg. John working out front. Now this is wrestling that I never coach because so many more kids work out front, and that's just a different style of wrestling. You always told kids you stay behind, you stay in the hips, and they do generally, but they're also willing to come out front. John working that bar, trying to get that across. Tight waist in the bar.
So he's going to try to turn him.
He's going to try to do a tip and tilt rather, and at least get some points. He's not necessarily going to pin him with this, but he's going to try to get some points, and not a lot of
movement on the body.
No,
where do we get to a stall here, Bob?
Well, I think it's Mark Blask is probably saying, all right, he's under control, but he's got a hand out there. He's either going to come up to his base or turn out, and I think at some point in the next few seconds, Mark might take a look at that. Of course, he's also going to take a look at John, because if you stay on a move and don't do anything with it, that's also stolen.
It's a stalemate, and therefore we go back to the middle, and it's 1 minute left in the second period with no score on the board, either for John Clay or Matt Volvo of the Volvo of Piscataway.
Generally speaking, a stalemate is where neither wrestler can advance without giving up some advantage of their own. But I think referees have also gotten to the point where they're saying, I'm not going to let this thing just hang out there. I want to let him wrestle and earn it. John getting himself a little bit underneath, and Matt Volova taking advantage of that situation, but John again showing some senior experience, able to recover and roll out of bounds, and again, still no score with 45 seconds remaining here in the second period.
All right, we're at 171 pounds, the third bout of this evening. We started with 152 with Matt Merrigan winning 3-0, followed by Dmitry Kuznets at also winning, and Bears up 6-zip at this point.
John's got that single leg in on the side, and he's trying to tilt Matt Volova. Got that crossface in there, and that is a very uncomfortable position to be in. Although Matt's got a hold of the arm, so we're again in a situation where, at this point, barring a slip, not much is going to happen. Now, Matt.
We're down to 11, 10 seconds here, 8 seconds.
John has to keep his hips up. He's got one leg in. He's got a crab ride, although not that solid. And with 3 seconds left, Mark Blaska calls a stalemate. And I think that was more to an advantage for John because while he was riding in that crab ride,
it was awkward.
It was awkward. Really didn't have a solid lock in that position. And the choice should go to John. John Clay. In this last period, and John takes the defensive position.
So John obviously thinks his best opportunity is to get up and out of here, and he's up on his feet.
Well, he was able to ride him out. And
there we go. There's one. I think we can take 1-0 here and be fine.
Well, you're not.
In 47
that doesn't sound very objective, Charlie.
No, always. Objective.
John's got the 1 point, and he's got to stay aggressive. They've both, as you said earlier on, felt each other out, push and shove back and forth. John's got in a little bit. A couple of times he's gotten a leg, hasn't been able to finish it off. At this point, he has been able to control the upper body a little bit with that arm, as he was just doing there with that Russian, the one-arm control. But John's also got to stay aggressive. I'm not sure what Mark Blask is talking to him about.
I think he's telling him to let's go here.
Stay in the middle. They have on a couple of occasions been on the edge of the mat, of the circle. John has to stay aggressive because obviously with a 1-0, a referee's going to look at you and say you've got to keep moving forward. If you're backing up to protect that lead,
he has been backing up a little bit. These big guys like to work upper body more than shooting. Is that?
Well, a guy like John, who is quick, but he also has that upper body strength, can probably go either way. Although it looks here like both guys are interested more in working that upper body, the throws and the control on the single arm.
All right, Bob, we're under a minute, 52 seconds remaining. Still 1-0.
John walks up that arm again. And Volova trying to go the upper body route as well. He's on top. John's got his body bent over a little bit. That's not necessarily a good position.
You would like John's weight on top of him.
Yeah,
right?
Straighten him up a little bit, try to get in. You know, Glenn Pazinka was standing, and usually when a coach is standing at this point in the match, he's a little bit nervous. Not that he's fearful that John's going to mess things up, but you want to make sure you're wrestling with your wrestler out there.
Oh, I could imagine that. I used to watch Jay Doyle sit there, and of course he never said too much of anything.
Single, he's got the ankle. John's got to get that leg back. He's got to sprawl and try to work that leg out. Not an awkward position for John Clay. 5 seconds to go. He's got to hold that position.
Okay.
And no control. And a 1-0 victory. Oh, Bill Volova was looking for that.
He is hot.
For that takedown, and it was close. But a victory for East Brunswick's John Clay, 1-0, and a 9-0 lead for the Bears.
And Matt Volvo rushed into the locker room there. Could be that he's not feeling well as well. I mean, he just went right to the locker room.
He got a good angle on there, and he put John in a very awkward position. John was able to keep his weight back, and
we're going to say this: John was fortunate to get out of there with a 1-0 win.
He wrestled a better match than 1-0, and he wrestled a better match than he would have deserved if he lost.
Okay, we're at 189 here with Nate Mull, 9-7, 12th grader, a senior here at East Brunswick High School, taking on a 10th grader, Chris Jones of Piscataway. And the Bears lead team-wise. Team scored 9-0.
That was an important win. We were saying that early on, and it proved out. And I think it was significant that one of your captains comes through with a win. 1-0 is a win, and you get points no matter how big that margin is. And
I don't know about you, but my stomach was turning on that last one. And
nice ankle trip by Chris Jones, and he gets the takedown on Nate Mull. Nate scoots outside, and a nice switch on the reversal.
Well,
good job by Nate Mull.
That was quick, Nate.
Nate has a 9-7 record, but he's wrestled some good bouts. He's wrestled some nice. He's done a nice job.
Well,
out
one
there.
night we were here, he moved up and he wrestled 215, and he could obviously tell that the wrestler from South Brunswick was quite a bit bigger and stronger, but he hung in there and did a tremendous job. Nate actually won the match.
Nate's done a nice job.
Won the bout.
He's not had a spectacular career, and I don't think that's
fair.
Demeaning. It's a fair thing to say. But I think right now, as a senior, 9-7, he's doing the job that Glenn Pazinka wants him to do. He goes out there, wrestles hard, wrestles tough, gets his points wherever he can, and I think that's
he has certainly contributed to the overall success of this outstanding Bears team. And I would say that this is probably one of the better East Brunswick teams in the last several years.
Well, it's been 9 years since they've made the sectionals. That's a long time to go without getting the state playoffs. And Glenn's had some good wrestlers along the way, but hasn't been able to put it together top to bottom. And right now, if I'm checking the notes here,
7-2.
7-2, and he's the 4th-ranked Group 4 team. Group 4 school in Central Jersey. So he's in a position where he could make the playoffs. He's just got to finish it off. And an escape for Chris Jones as he walks away. Nate did not have real good control on that, and he's allowed.
We're down to
Jones
8 seconds. Yeah, you hate to give those points up in that last 10 seconds. But
well, we had a match on Saturday when the Bears had an easy, really a walkover on Bridgewater Raritan.
Yeah, I saw that in the paper.
And there was one match, and I can't recall which, and I'm not going to identify the wrestler, but within the last 3 seconds, gave up the escape, and it's just a killer when that happens, and you just kind of hit yourself in the head.
Well, we're going to be even here at 3-3 because Chris Jones allowed Nate to up on his feet. Obviously, that's because either he didn't feel like he could hold him down there and turn him, or he feels they can let him up and take him down.
Well, the strategy, I think, has been for Piscataway to work strong on your feet. They have done that, and they've given up that escape on a number of occasions. We commented with Matt Merrigan and with Dmitry Kuznets matches where the escape was given a couple of times, and Piscataway obviously strong on their feet, want to work on their feet. Jones got the first takedown of the match, as did Rob Damon, as did Rob Oren for the Chiefs. So,
That's true.
And as a coach, you know, I used, as I said earlier, I always wanted that first takedown. Those are points that you never get back.
Jones in there on
Gets
the
in there very
leg,
nicely.
Switched to
Nate-
the upper body.
Nate fights it off, and with a double underhook was able to get out. But again, Jones able to shoot in there. We're not necessarily protecting our legs very well. And they've been able to control that, and they go out of bounds without any points. They're still on their feet with just under a minute, 58 seconds to go in the second period at 189 pounds.
3-3 tie. Nate Mull and Chris Jones for Piscataway. Just tell Nate that we'd certainly like a victory here. He's working hard out there.
He's
Boy.
working hard. Now Jones has been able to get in on that leg a couple of times. He got on the knee there. Nate trying to fight with the Wizard, and the takedown for Jones, and no points. Nate did lean over a little bit. He had the arm pulled up. And
Just the
was
two
trying to
for the
crank him.
takedown with 30 seconds remaining.
5-3. Chris Jones leading Nate Mull.
Trying to come out of there and grab that leg. He's looking at the clock. He's got 17 seconds to get up and out of there. Plenty of time.
Jones working rather high. He's trying to get a single leg in, and Nate tried to buck him over and did not do it, and almost got himself caught, but no points there as he comes right back over. Again, there's a sophomore not taking advantage of a situation. Nate put himself in an awkward position.
Certainly,
And
Nate
Jones
certainly exposed his back there.
Right.
So we're at 5-3 at the end of 2 periods. We got 2 minutes remaining. And we got 2 minutes for Nate to turn this thing around.
Jones chooses bottom, and at this point now, Nate has to keep him on the bottom and turn him over. He hasn't done a very good job on his feet, having given up 2 takedowns. So the last thing he wants to do is let Jones back up to his feet. So he's
Now
got
the fact that Jones is a little bit taller than Nate, is that a factor at all?
Well, being a short wrestler myself, I can tell you when you have a taller wrestler, it's tough to make that penetration, and if he's got long legs and he can throw legs in on you, you really do have a disadvantage. So Nate being a little bit shorter, it's tougher.
Okay. All right. What is Nate trying to do here? He's up pretty high.
Well, he's working that single arm, the one-on-one on the left side, and probably I can't see the far side of what he's doing over there, but you're trying to break in both arms at this point. Now he's got to bring him back down to the mat. And he was working the double 2 wrist rolls basically up there and trying to break Jones to the mat. And he does bring him back down.
But in order for Nate to score, he's got to expose his back.
He's got to turn Jones over, get some back points out of this. One tilt would get him at least 2 points and go to a tie, which is not necessarily an advantage considering if they had a tie, we're on our feet.
Jones is pretty flat here. I mean, how long is official going to let him lay down there?
Got a power half. Nate has a power half. He's got to get outside with that and crank it. Tuck that head under. He's a little bit high as he turns him. He's got no points yet.
Can't get him over. 38 seconds remaining.
He lost the power half. He's got to work. He's trying to post that far arm. He's going to reach under and see if he can crank him over that way with a half. He's got a stalling on the bottom. So we did get a warning, Charlie, as you were saying. Not an awful lot of activity by Nate Jones, but only 22 seconds remaining here in the third period.
And Jones is looking up there at the clock, and his coach is hollering to him to get up. And their assistant coach got his hand on his head.
Nate had his best shot with that power half, but wasn't able to crank it.
Got one.
Jones get the escape. He's got a 6-3 lead now with 5 seconds remaining. And that looks like a Chris Jones win. 6-3
on the board, 6-3 in that bout. The team score now 9 for the Bears and 3 for Piscataway.
Well, Nate Mull did a nice job on there in that third period. He gave up those takedowns in the first and second periods, which ultimately cost him, but he had a nice shot with that power half. He just couldn't quite crank it over, but he certainly had Chris Jones on the ropes. As we go to 215 pounds, that brings up Brian Campbell, another one of a number of seniors in the Bears lineup, against Devron Thompson, also a senior for Piscataway.
Football player?
Football player, has made a verbal commitment to Rutgers. I think he was a linebacker.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Piscataway, I think, has had, 4 or 5 Division I
players this year.
Players.
I saw the game here with East Brunswick, and Piscataway was tough. A lot of quickness, And I remember this guy here, he was tough.
Quick takedown by Devron Thompson on Brian Campbell. Brian comes in with a 4-4 record. Brian comes up, able to work that arm free, and get his legs out
Gets
for the
his
escape. Good job.
Very good. 2-1 in favor of Thompson. These are two pretty big guys right here.
Devron, I mean, obviously.
Thompson looks solid, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, you're playing linebacker at 6 foot. You're pretty solid.
And Rutgers recruits you, so
Yes.
you know he's pretty active. It looks like he's got good quickness. Maybe make him a defensive back. No, at 215, there's not too many 215-pound linebackers
No.
at Division I. At that,
They might make him an outside speed rusher from the end or something like that, but you know, speed is the deciding factor these
I think
days
we
in
make him
football.
a strong safety, but that's all right.
Either that or make him a halfback.
Well, we saw Dexter Jackson the other day, the
Right.
MVP for the Super Bowl, at strong safety, 2 interceptions.
I don't know when the last time a defensive player won the MVP in the Super Bowl. It's been a while.
It's not very often. It's usually a running back or a quarterback.
30 seconds remaining here at 215 pounds. Devron Thompson of Piscataway with a 2-1 lead over Brian Campbell. And Brian
Very
doing a
aggressive.
nice job
Yep.
and looking for the kill with that head and arm. But again, you've got to know where you are on the mat. And Brian had pushed him back, and they went to the circle edge, and they're out of bounds. Quick shot by Thompson, and a quick recovery by Brian, but was not able to finish that off. Slipped off to the side, and
Thompson's up 4-1.
gets the takedown.
Trying to turn his shoulders.
Brian was in there and fighting it, trying to roll through. No points either way.
If Brian somehow could have got around the other way, we might have been able to pull that off. So we're 4-1 at the end of the first period.
I'll tell you, anybody who's watching this, if youngsters are watching this at home, maybe they're taping this match, go back over that. Brian was in on that, and it's a little thing. You got to finish those moves off. They choose neutral. Had Brian finished it on that takedown, but he slipped off to the side.
Right.
And unfortunately, that gave Thompson the opportunity. And here he goes, gets in on that leg quickly again.
Whoa.
And a quick 2 points there.
That was pretty hard to the mat right there.
Yeah, I'm sure most parents look at that and they wonder about whether they really want their kids wrestling.
Especially these big guys at 215, and so they go to that mat pretty hard.
Very aggressive right now, Thompson is. He was not this aggressive in the first period, but he is much more physical and aggressive here, potentially dangerous as he cranks that arm out a little bit.
Okay, Brian's going to be on the mat, and Thompson in control. With 1:26 remaining and 6-1 in favor of Thompson of Piscataway. Well, the key here may be not to give up a pin, certainly, or a superior decision. So team points that we're looking here, maybe.
Kenny Scott, who was the head coach at Old Bridge, had a quote in the paper after his team beat South Plainfield. He said, "You win big, you lose small. You get the pins, you get the major decisions when you can, and you don't give up the pin. So if you have to lose by the 3 points." Turned over, no back points. Brian able to get back to his belly quickly.
That was a nice, tough move by Campbell.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been easy that his back was exposed to just kind of put it there.
Thompson had the leverage and was able to push him back, but Brian able to fight that and turn quickly back to his belly and recover. But right now he is cranking him over. He's got Brian's got his caught in between his legs, but he's also trying to fight it and protect. He's getting a count for back points. Right.
Got 2, maybe 3.
He's got 3. He should have 3 right now. He slipped underneath. Brian will fight it. He's got 26 seconds to go.
In lots of trouble.
3:39 of the second period. Devron Thompson of Piscataway with the fall. And we are tied 9-9.
So the pin makes it 9-9.
Well, you know what we just said, I mentioned that quote from Ken Scott.
Right.
Win big, lose small. And right there, Devron Thompson won big, and unfortunately we lost big. The Bears did. And we go to 275 with a tie match here. Ralph Denise for the Bears, a sophomore, against Brian Bishop, a senior. Senior with an 11-1 record. Another solid upper body kid from Piscataway comes out there against Ralph, who has been working very hard, although only with a 2-9 record for the Bears.
So Ralph with a big win, actually a pin against South Brunswick here earlier in the season.
finished off a nice bout that night.
Brian Bishop looks like pretty solid. Now, the 275 means that you can be up to 275.
Up to 275. I mean, we can remember, I know, Charlie, you always bring up Russ Olson from
I
South
do.
River.
Who must have weighed 375.
Russ
I don't
was
know.
at least 370. I think he was over 400 pounds when
Billy
he was in
Jeeves.
high school. And Bill Jeeves, Russ, and we're dating ourselves, but you know, Russ became an official. He losing weight, became a
Yeah, he lost a
good
lot.
official. I still see him in town. He's a fireman, a volunteer fireman in South River. Does he use?
Right.
He's a well-rounded citizen.
Right.
Brian Bishop with the takedown on Ralph Denise. And you're really looking here, you know, again, not to take anything away from Ralph, but it's almost man against boy here. Ralph being only a sophomore, and physically, Bishop much stronger. Picks him up, puts him to his back. Mark Blaska getting the count on back points.
And there's 46 seconds remaining, and he's in trouble right here.
He's locked
and
up
he's
that
squeezing
upper.
that. See, once you try to turn like that, you actually wind up getting yourself in
You
more
can't
trouble
turn yourself
sometimes.
into. You can't turn yourself in.
Brian did that to a little bit there before.
He's got to get his arm underneath the body and get it between them.
Another pin, Brian Bishop, as you said, this is the strength of the Piscataway team. So we team score now. We have a pin there for Bishop, and it makes it 6 points, 15 to 9 in favor of Piscataway as we turn the page here, and we go to 103.
Well,
So
those upper, we said that not to take anything away from the East Brunswick wrestlers, but 89, 215, 275 were certainly a block for the Chiefs, and they came through very strong with 3 victories
and 2 pins,
including 2 pins, right?
and a 6-3 win.
Mike Corona comes out, a freshman, the brother of 125-pounder Carmen Corona, and also has a younger brother on the rec program, young Chris, also a wrestler.
Jeff Osley of Piscataway.
Another freshman, so we have 2 freshmen going up here, and I love now that we mix up the order of the weights.
Which I think is the much
great.
better way to do it.
You watch these heavyweights come out there, 275 pounds. You've got about 500 pounds of body out there, and all of a sudden you've got half that or less.
Well, we got 200, about 206 pounds maybe out there. Although I don't know if either one of these guys are at 103.
Mike Corona comes in with an 8-8 record for the Bears, and for a freshman, it's you know, you hardly ever saw freshmen wrestling years ago, but today with the numbers down in varsity sports,
I think maybe the
far more
first freshman that I saw wrestle up here at the high school, and there was a lot of discussion, and I remember that was Antonio Toto.
Antonio, and he was,
there
you know, I
somebody
think
else
when I was
before
coaching at Hammersholt, and he came up here, and he was
Did very well.
Osley has got Chris in an awkward position, but Chris is locked around that leg, so he's protecting himself, and Mark Blaska calls the stalemate, which is a good call. Nobody's going to get advantage there unless they gave up something, so we're back on our feet. Mike's got to keep himself in good balance.
We're just under a minute here in the first period, no score. And Mike Corona was able to fight that off by locking and grabbing that leg.
He locked on the leg, and they got the stalemate of it. So Mike's pushing on a little bit. He's trying to back up Osley a little bit and get him off balance, and hopefully then shoot in for the legs, because again with the little guys you're not going to get too much upper body. You can see there Osley going for the leg. He gets a single. Pretty good sprawl by Mike. Gets the crossface. Got to watch his weight, does Mike, and he's able to get out of that and recover, get back on his feet.
Get his balance back under him.
Turn.
After all of that,
face him. And they go out of bounds. Osley is quick. His reactions have been very good so far. Mike has defended pretty well, but as with anything, and gets in on a double. Bring him down nice and easy.
He went off the. Why would he go off the double? I mean,
I think he just lost control. I think he lost his grip on that. He lifted him up, and a lot of times, especially the little guys, are not used to picking somebody up off the mat like that. Certainly, Mike's brother Carmen has picked up a few wrestlers.
Yeah,
in
he's
his day.
picked up. Yeah, Carmen has picked up a few. Right.
And he may have been following in Carmen's footsteps there, but he had the control. But I think he just lost his grip on one of the legs. I don't think he intentionally gave it up. I think when he had him up there.
All right, we got no score in the first. Moving on to the second period.
A little bit of action there. Mike, I think, was the more of the aggressor in that match, in that period, I should say, and he did a nice job. And Mike Corona will take the bottom position here in the second period. The Chiefs are up 16-9 in the match, and there is no score here at 103 pounds as we are halfway through wrestling tonight.
Okay, we're looking for Mike to get up and get out of there.
He's got that arm barred behind his back.
Years ago, you guys, Paul Quirk and yourself, and used to really work on that.
Nice switch.
Nice move. Work on that takedown for Mike. Used to work on that explosion, that first quick move to get up and out of there.
I always felt that you want to move forward, you want to get up, whether it's for the switch and to the reversal or even to get the points on your feet. I think there's a lot more strategy being taught to kids about being defensive and working out from under there and setting something up before they simply get the points.
That's why
at least to my mind, that's how it strikes me. And I haven't sat in on some of these clubs, and there are clubs all over the state now and all over the country where parents are paying to have private coaches, and they're getting a lot for their money. I'll give them that much. But I was always of the opinion, you're right, Charlie, get that first move, explode out of there, get those points, get up on your feet. Mike locking up that cradle. He's got to get across. He doesn't have a good position right now. There he goes.
There he goes. Boy, this would certainly
Take
be
your time
big
there,
for the
Mike.
Bears.
Wider base on his feet, and he's got it.
And he pinned him.
3:03 of the second period. Mike Corona with a fall over Jeff Osley at 103 pounds.
And that evens things up, Bob, 15-15.
We are evened up. Mike did a nice job. I'm not sure what Glenn is looking for right now or what just happened. A lot of discussions. I'm not sure what's going on.
Well, I think there was maybe he had a question about sometimes there's a coaching point to be picked up there. But 15-15 here at the end of, what are we, halfway through, Bob?
Halfway through. That was the seventh bout. Mike Corona with a pin. Did a nice job. Locked that cradle up. He almost rocked himself up a little bit high there, but he settled down, and that's the thing. When you get into a cradle, you settle it. Now, I'm looking up there. We just lost a team point. There was a deduction of a team point for, I guess, unsportsmanlike conduct with Mike Corona out there. We don't know exactly what happened. I think something was said. But we have Corey Richings here at 112 pounds as the match moves forward. Corey Richings with a quick takedown over Rob Rabowen of the Chiefs.
Apparently, from what I heard, and I don't know if this is terribly accurate, we want to talk about Corey Richings and not the last bout, but the Piscataway wrestler said something, and Mike might have responded with a comment as well. And of course, you know what happens. They never hear the first guy in, never gets, and the second guy gets penalized. So the team point hopefully won't come into play here, but it's we expected it to be very close with that team score.
Well, that was a big win by Mike Corona, and unfortunately had an error at the end. And you know, it's an emotional sport. All sports are emotional, especially where you're going head-to-head and physically batting each other, and things unfortunately do get said. And you always tell kids you've got to have controlled aggression, you've got to have control of your emotions, because once you don't have it, you're in trouble. Corey Richings able to crank him over. No points yet. He's got that arm trapped. Crossface.
Now he's got him. He's got to squeeze that.
Now he's locking him up. He's got a lot of time left. He's got some points. He should have some back points in there. He'll have three on the back.
3 back points. Okay. We're up. Corey's up 5-zip over Ian Forrest.
No, that's Rob Rabowen.
That's Rob? Okay,
now
they made the switch. Okay.
Rabowen is a freshman, and Corey's a sophomore, but Corey wrestles a lot tougher than a sophomore.
I didn't hear that change, so because we had Forrest. I guess they were either one was going to go up and one was going to go.
I didn't hear it, but my daughter, who was the manager, turned around and gave me the information.
I know, she was taking care of you.
She took care of Dad on that one.
She sure did.
And she'll hate me for saying that on TV. First period comes to an end. Corey Richings with a 5-0 lead over Rob Rabowen here at 112 pounds.
And the team score is Piscataway 15, the Bears 14.
And it's pretty much going the way we were saying, Charlie.
Those
the
upper
Chiefs
weight
are strong
classes.
up top. the Bears are really hitting their stride now in these lower weights. Mike Corona, Corey Richings, John Park, Carmen Corona, Jamie Guido in the lower weights. So it's very important right now that the Bears get some points in here, pick up some points, and stretch that. Well, they don't have a lead, but hopefully we'll be able to stretch a lead out from this point forward.
Okay, and we want Richings, of course, one of the outstanding wrestlers at East Brunswick. Corey is 12-3 at this point, and he's trying to take Rob Rabowen and turn him over here, but Rabowen is not cooperating. He's up. There he goes.
Cranks him back in a tilt. He's got to watch his own back. He's got a back. He's got some back points there. You know, Corey, another one. As we've talked about this, a family of wrestlers. With his brother Keith having wrestled several years ago, now out at Lehigh.
7-1. Corey Richings ahead in this bout against Rob Rabowen. Sometimes you forget that Corey's only a sophomore.
Absolutely, because it seems like he's been around. I've watched him from recreation, so it seems like he's been around forever. But again, only a sophomore.
We're down to 30 seconds. 38 seconds, actually. I was going to, the program that you're looking at there right now, which we can't see on the screen, but I was going to give you some questions here to see see how good you were at recognizing some of these outstanding wrestlers here.
Good control by Corey on top. Comes around out front with that cross face. He's trying to lift that inside leg, throw it across, get the Turk in.
Bob, we're at 9 on that takedown, 9-1 for Richings, with 21 seconds remaining here in the second period. Well, where's the cutoff on points, team points, Bob?
15-point margin would be a technical fall, and that would be a 5-point decision.
5 point.
He's got that got that leg hooked.
4 points.
He's going to lift that inside leg, but no points there. No. Did not have the.
So we go to the third period with Richings up 9-1.
Right now he's got a major decision. This is a 4-point with an 8-point margin.
8, right, 8-point difference, right? 8-point margin. All right.
I didn't understand. I misunderstood your question, Joe. You asked it fine. I just didn't hear it right.
Sometimes I forget what it's either 7 or 8. That was in my mind.
The rules changed a couple of years ago. They've gone back and forth. He had 4-point, 5-point decisions, and
I think we're going to have 2 more there. It looks like no, he still hasn't awarded those points. Why is that? Oh, there he goes. Okay. So I could probably go out there and officiate, but.
Corey right now with an 11-1 lead with 1.5 minutes to go. He's cranked him over. 6 is what they're really looking for with Corey's experience against a freshman. And I'll be redundant in saying a young freshman compared to Corey's experience and Corey's talent on the mat.
No more points there. He got a couple in his hand there.
I don't see.
I think he had a couple of. No.
He's got him cranked over again.
I think he had 3 in there before. Oh, and a pin. Okay. Corey Richings picks up a big 6 for the Bears, and the Bears go up 20-15.
4 minutes and 58 seconds in the third period, and a 6 points for Richings and the Bears at 112 pounds. That was very important. The Bears got back on track with Mike's pin, minus that 1 point. Now you have back-to-back pins. That's very important. John Park, again, only a sophomore, but a very tough wrestler. Again, somebody who's come through the rec program with the Bears against Ian Forrester, and Forrester is a senior at 119 pounds. He's wrestling up. They both weighed in. He and Rabowen weighed in at 112, so he is a light 119-pounder and looks right there to be very quick.
Park 6-3 on the year, Bob, but I've had a chance to see him a couple times, and both times has shown very well.
He's done a nice job. He works very hard. He's aggressive. Sometimes almost too aggressive, like right there, pushing him out. Nothing illegal, but very aggressive, even on the sideline.
But 10th grader, as you indicated.
And again, from an athletic family, his sister Caitlin played soccer and lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
I think she plays basketball too, right? Did you play basketball?
I don't.
I've lost track.
I don't know. That's possible, but I don't. It's not on the varsity level. Okay. I know TV8, we've had a chance to do several games this year, and that's not a name that I remember calling. But
I know she has played lacrosse and she has played
All right.
soccer.
Oh, an excellent lacrosse player.
Yes.
I had a chance to do a lacrosse match last year, and it was exciting, and she was tough.
John, quite a bit taller than Ian Forrest. It looks like almost about 4 or 5 inches taller as they came back in off the side. So again, John with a little bit of an advantage in weight, a few pounds, and certainly a big advantage in height as he tries to do a little shrug on the sideline, and they go out of bounds with 56 seconds remaining here in the first period and no score at 119 pounds. And I think Mark Blass is going to talk to him a little bit about that aggressive nature
pushing right
on the sideline.
Right at the sideline. All right, we're down to 53 seconds here in the first period with no score. Wrestlers still kind of feeling themselves out here, John and Ian Forrester.
Forrester looks a little more solid up top, more physical.
I was thinking the same thing.
Arms are pretty solid there.
Well, we talked about the difference is 7 pounds, and while John obviously is the heavier of the two wrestlers, Ian looks like he's a pretty solid young man.
Nice duck under and come around by John Park for the takedown.
First points of the match, and we're down to 20 seconds here, and of course John wants to hold Ian down there in the mat or try to turn him over.
He's got the one-on-one.
Especially with 13 seconds remaining off the mat.
Right there, you've got to be careful. You're a wrestler. You know, you're trying to get an advantage. You're trying to get some leverage, but you're on the sideline. You don't want to be pushing him forward. Somehow, if you can get yourself back a little bit, pull him back in.
Pull him back in, right? Especially with 10 seconds remaining here in the first period.
Because John had pretty good control with a one-on-one underneath and through the crotch.
We're not give him a chance to explode and get out of here with 10 seconds, and he did.
Exactly what you said. You are prescient.
I tell you, I should have coached this sport. No, I don't think so.
Quick duck under and a single, and no change there, but a 2-1 lead for John Park.
That was close.
He was not. He knew he had very little time left, but I think so often wrestlers let up a little bit with those few seconds.
Well,
and
10 seconds left, gave up a point and almost a takedown possibly. It was close. We got, I don't know who had the choice in this one.
I didn't keep track of that one.
I missed it as well. But Park on top.
John did a pretty good job controlling him, except for those last few seconds of the first period. So he was able to deal with him, even though
he's not going to hold him here.
But not in this situation. Another escape for Forrester, and we're tied up at 2.
Well, just 12 seconds remain into that period as well, so it was pretty quick. He got up and out of there.
Now, John stretches himself out a lot. And a lot of wrestlers will do that and not be able to control themselves. You can see John's very long to begin with at this weight. He leans out. And that can be a disadvantage if a guy snaps you down. But John has pretty good balance. He's able to recover and bounce back. But he's also dealing with a very physical upper body
compact
on the other side.
Right. Yep.
He gets in on that single. John's got the wizard to try to defend. He's got to crank that leg down. Good job by John to break that leg out and recover. Ooh, very good. Nothing wrong. Everybody was in bounds. There was no whistle, and John went for him. And actually, had John been able to catch his legs, Forrester's legs with his toes inside, he's got a takedown.
Is that the trainer out there? Well, he can't be with a cup of water here, can he?
He really should.
Well, he's standing there with a cup of water.
I got to check. He's probably telling him he can't do that. He may have brought the water.
Maybe that's ice. Maybe it's a frozen cup of water in which he's. And of course, the official comes over and kind of tells the assistant coach or whatever. I'm not sure. Maybe just an interested spectator. No, they don't.
No, he's one of the assistants. I think that's Dan Higgins is one of the assistant coaches. I'm not sure if that's related to Tom Higgins, the former football coach at Piscataway.
Tom Higgins was there for a long time.
You know, it's interesting. The headgear problem there, it came undone and it went down over his ears. Over his eyes. There is no standard. There's a NOCSE that a standardized organization that certifies equipment. There's nothing on headgear, so anybody who comes up with anything can get a headgear made. quick move by Ian Forrester, gets in for the takedown. A little hesitation there by the official because John was trying to scoot outside. And he's on his feet again and able to get the one.
And get out of there. Okay, it's 4-3. Forrester, Piscataway.
And again, John is the aggressor. Now, Forrester's been able to get in on the legs on a couple of occasions, but John has continued to be aggressive. He's just got to protect his legs a little bit better. Forrester's been able to pop those arms up and duck under and get a hold of it. John is backing up, and I can hear his father's voice from the stands to circle, and he's got to circle around now.
He tried to pick a leg there, pick an ankle, rather.
But again, he did it on the edge of the circle, and you don't have a lot of room to maneuver over there. So you've got to take it in the middle. 26 seconds to go here in the second period.
Tries to go down. We're down to 19 seconds. Forrester.
Oh. He used John's leverage. John came in, stood up, and Forrester just popped underneath. But John very nicely has fought that off.
Right, he got out of there.
Because Forrester was in.
Absolutely. And no points scored. That's the end of the second period with Forrester up 4-3, Bob.
John Park takes the bottom here in the third period. John's reaching an awful lot. He's stretching.
Well, you had
himself
mentioned
out.
that before. Being long, that's a natural reaction? Or?
It's a natural I think it's somewhat of a natural reaction.
Because
but I think
Forrester is a lot shorter than he is. Of course, Forrester's going to let him up and tie it up.
Well, based on past history, he's been able to get in on John's legs, and John has recovered a couple times. He's given up one takedown, so it hasn't been the worst case scenario, but he has gotten in, and John's done a lot of defending out of somewhat awkward positions. And so we're now once again in a situation where we've got a tie bout, and we've had that several times tonight.
Right.
And we're coming down the last 2 minutes, and it's almost last possession. Who's got that last shot?
Well, we knew it was going to be close tonight, and the team scores 20-15. The Bears up, but this one is all tied up here at 119 with John Park and Ian Forrester. They're back in the center with 1:25 remaining in the third period.
Now, when they came back to the center, Ian Forrester was kind of holding his chest. Either he was not feeling well or a little bit tired. That's kind of
there he did
sign.
it again. He just did it again.
Either he's gassing a little bit or he's just not feeling well. And they are going to take an injury time. Something's not right. Now, at this point, Mark Blaska, the referee, is taking the injury time clock and is going over there. And one of the things he is going to do besides
can
timing
he be drinking water here? Or?
Yeah, he can be drinking water, but he can't be coached. And that's why the referee has to stay over there. On the other side, John Park can be talked to all he wants by the coaches.
And he can be coached on this side.
Coached,
okay.
But the injured wrestler cannot be coached because what we were talking about earlier, how often wrestlers took injury time, and really all they wanted to do was take a break, get a breather, and get a few words from the coach, like, okay, coach.
It seemed to be constant. Now, I don't know. We have our camera on Forrester over here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he seems to be all right. He actually looks a little gassed to me. I mean, he looks like he's tired, but he's sitting there on a chair, resting.
Unless he's pulled a muscle in there.
Well,
he's
got
breathe.
his hand again on his chest there, just above, right in the sternum area. So he might have taken a John Park head into the sternum, and that hurts a little bit.
And Piscataway seems to be very big on rubbing arms before they come back on.
Man, I'm telling you, rub his chest or something.
A leg injury, we rub our arms. A chest injury, we rub our arms. You can get back in there.
And I don't know how much time was used. How much time do they have?
They have
time?
2 minutes.
2 minutes
on injury
for a total
for the whole bout.
Okay.
So we're back in the middle with a 4-4 score with 1:11 remaining, third period, and it's going to be a matter of who's got a little more will and a little more oomph.
Well, we don't want John to back up, right?
No, you circle. The proper way to do this is to circle. Too often wrestlers tend to back up, and a lot of times they are setting up. You push, or you pull in order to set up a particular move. And there's a situation right there where if you're backing up, and John has done a good job of being the aggressor, he's gotten a warning for Forrester because Forrester has backed up now in these last
The official certainly
10, 15 seconds.
is talking to Forrester about
right.
Exactly that, I would imagine, backing up.
John gets in but backs out quickly, did not have a good penetration on that.
44 seconds and we're all tied up.
Forrester trying to pick that arm up and duck under.
Grab an ankle, John.
John's got the arm to try to control, but he's And I'm not sure if it's because of the disparity in height, but John looks a little bit awkward sometimes as he's underneath there. And I don't feel comfortable for him in his position. Again, there's a reach. He's trying to get that knee pick. He's got to keep his head up, too.
As long as he is, though. Oh, okay.
He's got the ankle, but John's got the whizzer. They're on the edge of the mat. John's got to, again, crank that down and push him out, and that was a good job by John to push him out of bounds.
Right, we're down to 14 seconds, not legally, but we're down to 14 seconds. We're all tied up here, so this can go either way real quick.
Real quick, Forrester gets in, and the takedown. That was the aggressiveness. He's been popping that an awful lot. He's getting some back points out of it as well. And he gets 3 back points. So in those last 10 seconds, Forrester finishes that off.
9-4.
With a 9-4 victory over John Park.
20-18. East Brunswick up by 2.
A close one. Now we've got some strength to the Bears coming here. Carmen Corona coming up at 125. He'll be followed by Jamie Guido at 130. They are combined 24-7. So that's a nice record to have on the mat.
Got 5 bouts to go.
5 to go. So we're looking for some points in here for the Bears. These are very big matches.
Is that Tom Hemmerly?
Tom Hemmerly, who is a junior. So we have junior against junior here at 125 pounds.
Know anything about Hemmerly?
Not a thing.
Not a thing. Okay. But we do know that Carmen is 11-4, and Carmen's aggressive.
He is very aggressive.
He's another one of those guys you don't want to go to the refrigerator while this is on.
He's been wrestling for seemingly forever, again since recreation, 3rd or 4th grade. So he's been in the program for a number of years. Carmen, as at 11-4, he was a champion at the North Brunswick tournament back in December, and in fact was the outstanding wrestler in that tournament. In fact, Corey Richings also was a champion at the North Brunswick tournament. Missed mentioning that because
I see he's got some tape on his right hand. Looks like the thumb, possibly.
I'll be very honest with you, Charlie. I think I knew what that was at one point, but I don't remember if he sprained something or cut himself there. He had a cut at one point, I think, on his hand. Now again, he's got him up. He's got to be careful bringing him down.
Got to be careful, right?
Gotta set. That was close. That was very close. But a takedown for Carmen Corona.
By close, you meant he could have gotten
for a slam. But he had him under control, but he kind of dropped him in the last foot or so.
Okay.
And some referees might say, you know what, you didn't control it all the way to the mat.
Yeah, and I've seen that as well.
But I think that was a good no call by Mark Blaska in that regard. And we mentioned earlier with Mike Corona when he picked his opponent up.
He kind of didn't know what to do with him to get him back down to the mat. And it's not, I would imagine it's not easy. If you got somebody up there, you know you have to be careful or be penalized, and you put them up there again.
You've just picked up 125 pounds, and especially when it comes up to your shoulder or above, and Carmen has done that here and a couple of other times, many times in his career, and you have to be careful because once you've got him up, if you're not in control, you've got that body flailing all over the place, and it doesn't take much to lose control as the body twists out.
What is Carmen trying to do here?
Carmen, I think, is trying to get he's got a single leg and go to a cross body or a
stalemate.
That was a quick stalemate. I'm not sure, because I think Carmen had just gotten that leg in. It was really very quick.
Well, up until that point, Hemmerly had a hold of Carmen's leg, so it wasn't total domination. I didn't think.
It may have been simply that, as you said, and I couldn't see it or I didn't look that closely, that he had his leg and he realized that Carmen was not going to go any place with it. So therefore, you simply pull the stalemate and get him back on. I think officials, as I said earlier, try to do that. Let him wrestle instead of just hang in there for 15, 20 seconds doing nothing and nobody gaining any kind of an advantage.
We're down here to the end of this period, and at the end of one, it's Carmen Corona 2, Tom Hemmerly for the Chiefs of Piscataway, nothing.
A very quick first period, Charlie. That moved along very quickly.
It certainly does. You know, I hate to say this, but we could, he's going to let him up. Carmen's going to let him up. A nice 6 would be very nice team score-wise.
Well, I'm sure Glenn wants those points right now because he's got some of his stronger wrestlers coming up, and he's going to finish the match up with Jason Shelsby, who has no varsity record. So I think he'd like to have at least a 7-point lead going into that. 145. And that's
probably Jason would like to have a team with a 7-point lead as well, with no varsity record.
And that's not a slight of Jason. It's simply the fact that, here you've got a young man without a record. Carmen trying to get that head and arm, got himself in trouble a little bit and able to fight it off very well. Oh, my goodness. I don't know what to say.
his back was on him. He was inbounds, wasn't he? His feet were out, but his back was all the way to the
I know
waist.
they had rolled around a little bit, and I'm not sure if the referee said, well, they were actually there out of bounds beforehand, but certainly the supporting points of Tom Hemmerly were his shoulders.
And they were inbounds. They were clearly inbounds.
That was
all right, we're not going to try to officiate this.
Carmen with that single, switching to the double. He's in very deep, picks him up, now bring him down under control. Carmen did a nice job there. He landed on his own hip in order to maintain that control, but he's got to finish it. He's got to reach up for the head or
2 with a takedown.
And
now at what point you saw Hemmerly with his hands locked? Was he's able to do that?
Well, there was no control, so
okay.
either wrestler could lock hands there. And that point, it's a defensive move just to keep.
Only if there's control.
Right, and only the offensive wrestler, the one who has the control. He's got some back points there. Carmen does, or maybe not. He's got a count, and he did have 2.
Does. I think he missed the pin here, but
that one was a slam.
no.
Now, interestingly, just to point out, that was not as high up as the earlier one. Certainly, Carmen had him up in the air and came down, but in this situation, even though they were close to the mat, it wasn't a hard drive. He did drive him more than he did in the earlier ones. Now, it's certainly clear that Hemmerly is not really injured. He got the point for the violation. And now, in this case, Hemmerly has recovery time. That's separate from injury time.
Okay, separate
so
from
the injury time is something where you've been hurt by a
now,
legal move. Here,
what if Hemmerly says, you know, my back hurts. I don't think I can continue.
This match is over and Carmen loses. And that comes down to ethics on the part of a coach. I don't think coaches want to win that way. I know there have been some coaches in the past that I've come across who I wouldn't be surprised to do it. But I think most coaches realize they want to have their kids wrestle and win or lose on the mat. They're checking his eyes, making sure they're clear. It wasn't a hard. It was a hard drive. It was a legitimate
Personally, I
call.
thought one of the ones before that came from a higher elevation.
But I think Mark Belaska thought that he was more under control coming down this one. This one, even though it was a short distance, it was more of a drive.
Yeah, well, he came down a little harder. But let us just take 1 second to say that this young man, 11th grader Tom Hemmerly for Piscataway, deserves a lot of credit. He could walk off here and say that he's hurt. I see his eyes are kind of swollen, tearing up a little bit.
Now, at this point, though, if I'm not mistaken, once he said, I'm ready to wrestle, we're back in business.
He can't then walk off and say,
He can't change my mind.
What did the coach come over and check on? Because Carmen looked like he was kind of distraught.
Unless they were checking
what
on
the
amount of time.
6-2,
that
the
was
points,
used.
yeah, okay.
6-2 was clear. That wasn't any question.
Yeah, I had.
Carmen did a very nice job slowly
he was very
bringing
careful
him down.
right there.
His knees came down first, and he brought him down under control.
18 seconds remaining in the second period with Carmen Corona is up 6-2.
Good tight waist, trying to drive that power.
Wants to turn him over if he can.
5 seconds remaining here in the second
not
period.
Not going to turn him over. So
and score should stay the same as we finish out this period. 6-2, Carmen Corona here at 125 pounds.
Boy, I'm telling you, was Carmen careful when he brought him down to? It was almost like a baby. He was trying to put him to sleep.
I'm not gonna.
They're not gonna comment. Okay.
I'm not.
All right, here we go. Third period, 6-2. Carmen Corona up over Tom Hemmerly.
You know, Carmen can be very emotional when he gets out there, and you said he looked distraught before. But you know, Carmen also has become a very smart wrestler, and even
that was a smart move.
He wrestled very smartly there, and did some wise. It was just wise in how he controlled himself. Now he's on his feet. He's had 2 takedowns already in this match, and he's working upper body. And I think Carmen, from that standpoint, as sometimes he will do, he wants to go for the kill with that one big move, boom, take him to the back.
Right. All right, we're in the third. 1:23 remaining. Stalling on the Piscataway wrestler Hemmerly for backing up, right, Bob?
He's been backing up. He hasn't been doing anything. Carmen's been the only one really shooting. Carmen, again, went from a single to a double. He's got the takedown.
2 for the takedown. We're up to 8-2. We need 8 points here to get a 4-point decision.
Well, the major decision would be very significant. He's got the bar and the arm. Got to bring him inside. He reloads. Did a nice job but he couldn't get that in. He had it locked up with that bar. But Hemmerly backed out of the circle. Carmen tried to pull him back in, reload, and turn it, but couldn't quite get that off.
they looking for an injury time?
I think we're just looking to maybe add some spit and just to get rid of that. 8-2 is the score right now.
8-2 with 52 seconds remaining, and what we're looking for is at least an 8-point disparity, change in or variance in the score.
They're going to go 2 for 1 here.
No,
Carmen
letting
gives him
them
the
up.
1. And again, he looked over to Glenn Pizenko, and obviously Glenn must have said, let him go. I didn't look over there when Carmen did.
Yeah,
but
he
Carmen,
walked over that way. I'm sure that's what happened. East Brunswick has been burned on that this evening.
Well, he didn't have the 8-point decision at this point.
Anyway.
He's got 5 points differential now with 30 seconds to go. He's been able to get 3 takedowns here, and I think the feeling was I can do it one more time and maybe get the back points as well, and that's the. Okay, now he's got an advantage.
Now he's got a stalling
violation.
Piscataway. Now there's 2 stallings. What's the next step?
Well,
in
no,
that?
he had the warning, and now this is the first point. So he's still got another.
Okay.
Still got another one to go in there.
Okay.
But now with a 9-3 lead,
19
a takedown
seconds too,
gives him
Bob.
the 8.
He's backing up. Go get him, Carmen. Backing right off.
And he just banged him again for another point with 13 seconds to
Now,
go.
if Carmen can take him down, we're going to have actually even one more stalling, right?
Well, one more stalling or a takedown. It's going to be 2
That's
points
2.
either way.
Go after him. That's what
Carmen's
he's
got
got
to
do.
push it. He's got to make it happen right now. 8 seconds to go. And you remember Ian Forrester was able to get that 2 points with about 5 seconds, and there it is. On a stall, he banged him for the 2 points. 11-3. We've got an 8-point decision.
11-3. Piscataway coach doesn't look extremely happy. That makes it 24 for the Bears, 18 for Piscataway.
Well, any coach does not want to have the official be the deciding factor. On the other hand, in this case, Carmen was the aggressor. He set himself up for the win with Coach Pizenko's input over there. He set himself for the win with a takedown. Hammerly backed up, and in that situation, there really wasn't an opportunity for Carmen to do what he had to do because the other wrestler was not wrestling. And in the last, 25 seconds or so, those last 4 points went up by Mark Bleskin.
They were important. They could be very important points here. We have Jamie Guido at 13-3, a senior, 130 pounds against Tim Lauria.
Tim Lauria is a junior for the Chiefs. Jamie in on that leg. He's got it locked up. Going to lift it up, trying to backdoor. And able to get the 2 points. Nice job. Nice wrestling by Jamie. Jamie has just come such a long way. He's a very steady wrestler. He's very smooth. He's worked very hard. He's got a lot of finesse.
Okay. Jamie Guido, 13-3.
Well, here's a wrestling family too.
Yes.
I feel like the grandfather now. Jamie's father, George, was a wrestler for me about 100 years ago. And in fact, George and I have talked a number of times about how one of the teams that he was on that I was involved coaching was a team that scored more pins than any team in East Brunswick history. They hold the record for the most pins in a season, and I think they also hold the record for the most points in a match.
Okay.
And the other day when they scored 72, George was very concerned that record would be broken. But I said, don't worry, George. We only had 12 bouts, and they have 14 now,
14.
so it's a different situation. Jamie Guido in control with under a minute, 50 seconds to go here in the first period over Tim Lauria. And having
right?
Pretty good control. He's working very steadily, got good control on the hips and working underneath.
We want to have him turn him here if we can.
He's got the half.
Okay. He's got
Cranks
that arm
down.
hooked around that leg.
Jamie with a cross face. Got to get his hips up a little bit. He's going to get a count on that. No, he didn't. Only got a 1 count, so there's no points there. 20 seconds to go here in the first period. Still 2-0 Jamie Guido. He had that the leg in and a cross face, but could not hold him for the 3 count.
Was he a little high? Is that it just didn't have enough leverage to
he wasn't too high. I mean, he looked he was, but once you get that cross face and you put Laurie down, it's just that he slipped out.
Okay.
Didn't have enough of an angle.
That's the end of the first period with Guido up 2-0 here at 130 pounds, and we have 3 bouts to go after this, Bob.
Yeah,
so this is a big one.
Yeah, this is very important. There's a lot of wrestling left to go here. Brian Ackerman coming up at 135 against probably Piscataway's best wrestler, Kyle Paulson. So getting an advantage here. Brian's one of the tough wrestlers. He's 12-3 for the Bears, but that's going to be a tough one, and that could go either way. Followed by Timmy Ackerman, and then, as we said, Jason Shelsby up at 145.
As you said, this is his varsity debut here, 0-0, and I'm sure that he'd like to see the Bears up by 7 before. Here we go.
With a Peterson, Loria gets does not have the reversal. He almost looks like he had it, and he does now, and he's going to get back points out of it as well. Jamie's got to watch his back. He's in trouble there. He's got to get his hips out. Jamie not in a good position.
Long way to go, a minute to go here.
He's bringing his hips up and out, but Loria still has control, so Jamie cannot be exposing his back as he's doing right now. I think Jamie feels he's got some control, but he's actually more in trouble in that position, and Loria still has the Peterson, which is the leg and the arm. Jamie fighting it well, but he is physically in trouble and has exposed himself very dangerously. And he's got to get his hips out a little bit more, and he does. He's a little bit high. And Coach Valova is not quite credible that he only got 2 points out of that.
I'm not quite sure either, to tell you the truth. Looked like certainly the count started a couple different times. So
well, the fact that it started a couple different times is true, but when did he finish?
I don't know,
and
right.
I guess it certainly looked from our standpoint. I know Jamie was just in trouble there, and I certainly felt that he might have gotten 3 out of that. Warriors up 4-2 here at the end of 2 periods, and Jamie will have choice in this last period, and he's going to be told to take down, and that's where he can get some points. He got himself caught with that Peterson, and he was not able to get out of it right away. A couple times Jamie was coming out, tried to throw that crossface in there, but at the same time he was exposing his back, and it wouldn't have taken much to rock back a little bit had Loria been a little bit stronger. He's very long and lanky.
Was that a caution on Green there?
I didn't see that.
It looked like he gave a signal that. All right, we're in the third here. As we said, this could be a pivotal bout here.
Jamie's got to get the points. He's got to get an advantage here. He gets to his feet against a very tall Tim Loria. And Loria trying to get that leg in. Jamie taking the hip and trying to step across and go for the 2. Jamie's got to get that his right arm through and around the body. And Loria hanging on. And I'm not sure how we can say that Loria still got control there. I wouldn't want to make that call myself right now. He's certainly
I tell you what, if he's
trouble.
If that's a neutral, there we go.
He got the reversal.
That's a neutral position. Oh my goodness.
We are tied now with
Third
1:11
side.
to go. Jamie's got to keep that control and rock him over.
He's got him over there.
I think he got 3 counts out of that. And Jamie. He counted 5. So there's 3 points for Jamie Guido, and Jamie takes a 7-4 lead here in the third period. He's trying to lock up a cradle. He's got the leg in, so he's got some balance there. He was able to peel that hand off.
That looks like a Pazenko move, doesn't it, with those legs, or what, wrapping those legs in there? He could wrap those.
35 seconds to go here in the third period. Now Jamie's got to get a little physical and keep the control on Loria.
Keep him down on the mat,
keep
right?
him broken down. He's trying to go for that inside cradle. And, but I'm not sure. He doesn't really have much going there right now. He's
20 seconds.
All right, he's going to call a warning on Jamie for stalling. That Jamie stayed parallel to him. That was signaled there. He's got to come outside. If you're hip to hip off your base, he's going to have to come outside. Now Jamie looked over. Do I want to give him the one?
He's going to give him the 1.
And I'm not sure. I think you just try to break him down, just give him the alternate start. It doesn't mean you're automatically going to give him, but you usually do get that 1. 10 seconds to go now. Jamie Guido with a 7-4 lead here at 130 pounds.
Was that the score just wasn't put up? I don't see it up on the board. Was that a point, Bob?
No, he didn't let him go. He just kind of broke him down off of that.
All right.
But a win for Jamie Guido, very big win for the Bears at 130 pounds, a 7-4 victory And that gives a 9-point lead for the Bears.
27-18 for the Bears with 3 bouts to go. And as you indicated, probably Piscataway is certainly one of their best wrestlers coming up next.
Kyle Polson at 12-0. It's one of the few records we do have for the, for the Chiefs. So
against Brian Ackerman, a senior, 12-3 for the Bears. We will find out at 1:35. 27-18 in favor of the Bears.
Well, we look for a close matchup, head-to-head. The strength of the Bears down low, the strength of the Chiefs up top, and that has held true. We're now in the middle. So here's where the rubber meets the road.
3 here puts the Bears in a situation where Piscataway would have to pin the last 2 East Brunswick wrestlers to break even.
And that does harken back then to 103 pounds in that unsportsmanlike penalty that the Bears suffered.
But Paulson is he's 12-0 for a reason.
Takedown for Paulson. A lot of rolling there. Brian Ackerman working very nicely, but Paulson
looks like a strong young man, Paulson.
Yeah, looks like he's very solid up top. Not muscular in the sense of really cut and built, but very solid. And he is working that outside bar.
I'll tell you the truth. I wouldn't want to get out there on the mat with him, but and I probably have him by 100 pounds.
He's quick. He's smart. Although we always say that age and guile will outduel youth and speed anytime, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about it. No, we want to go there.
Brian Ackerman able to back out a little bit and does come up for the neutral. But Paulson, again, very aggressive, controlling the arm and the upper body, and gets the takedown again, and a quick 4-1 lead with about 36 seconds to go here in the first period.
Bears up by 9.
He's putting a lot of pressure on Brian Ackerman's head, pressuring the neck. He's got that leg hooked in the back.
Oh, crossface there.
Solid control.
Just to kind of keep him awake. Boy, I always hated that crossface. That's got to hurt.
It is a painful and tough move, and if you use it properly, it can be a deadly weapon. Just put your opponent at such a disadvantage in an awkward position and just plain uncomfortable.
5 seconds, 4. We're almost to the end of the first. 4-1.
Kyle Polson with a very good control in that first period was able to take Brian Ackerman down twice during the period. And Ackerman defers the choice to Polson here in the second period. And I have a feeling that
he's going to take the bottom.
He's taking the bottom. And I'm surprised considering 2 takedowns, although he may figure 1 and 2.
He can pop up out of there and then get 2 again.
This is Ackerman's first time on top from the offensive position.
I don't know if he's going to just
able to control the leg and keep Polson down. So a good job in that regard.
But keeping him down is not it's not enough, though, right,
No.
Bob? He's got to move up and try to work for.
Yeah, he had the wrist, and Polson was able to fight that off and just turn it out, and then just
picked up
slide
2
right
there.
under there for the reversal. Slick wrestler. I have not seen Kyle Polson, but based on his performance right here, just his appearance and the way he moves, this is a young man who could certainly do some damage in the GMC tournament, which is coming up the weekend of February 7th and 8th at Piscataway High School. He's got that bar on Brian Ackerman on the one, and he's trying to hook up both, and he has got the double bar, which
now that's gotta hurt.
That's the most awkward and uncomfortable. He's turning him. He's hooked the head, underhooked the head.
With the leg.
It is not that easy to pin somebody, but the thing is right now for Brian Ackerman, it is a very uncomfortable
50 seconds
and difficult
remaining
position.
also, so there's a long way to go here.
And that's just plain uncomfortable for Brian Ackerman. And Ackerman turning over, he lost the bar, the double bar, and he's now turned himself. And it looks like they have figure 4s on each other's heads.
Got 3 back points for Paulson. What is the coach talking about there? I mean, it looked clearly that was a stalemate. I'm not.
Well, Brian figure 4'd Paulson's head.
Okay.
And a figure 4 on the head. Well, no, I got to correct myself. I'm checking myself on my rules. Figure 4. A figure 4 on the waist is illegal. Figure 4 on the head is legal. So even though Ackerman had figure four, I'm not sure what Bill Volvo was arguing about, because to the best of my knowledge, a figure four on the head is legal. He got the 3 points on the back.
So
He's
it's
going to give him the 1.
It's 9-1 at this point. So
and
we
just
got
the escape 9-2.
So we got a major decision here.
You know, here's a situation. Brian Ackerman just got
Whoa.
put. I'm not sure what
I
that
didn't
was.
I didn't like
Yeah,
that push
was a
in the
little bit-
face right there.
You know, Brian Ackerman just got put in a double arm bar, turned over on his back, had his head figure forward, and he's shooting on him. So this is, you know, Brian Ackerman's very tough. He just got taken down there. Again, very physical on the part of Kyle Polson. And an 11-2 lead right now.
We picked that up, I think. Paulson kind of pushed him in the face
Yeah,
on his
gave him
way
a little
back
push
to the
away.
middle.
You know, it's one thing as you're breaking apart to kind of push aside your opponent, but
Yeah,
that was a little bit
that
more.
was borderline. That was certainly maybe more than 11-2 here at the end of the second period. One more period to go. At this point, it's a 4-point decision.
Well, it's 4 points right now. Brian Ackerman is not going to be the kind of kid who is going to give you anything.
Absolutely
He keeps
not.
coming back.
I
You
guess
know, as I
1
said,
point there, so now it's 11-2.
if someone put me in a
11-3,
double arm
excuse me.
bar and figure forward my head, turn me over, I'd be saying adios. Can I go
I'm
home
out of
now?
here.
And-
No, but Brian's not. You're
Brian
not going to
Ackerman's-
find that with Brian
No.
Ackerman. No way.
And his brother Timmy coming up next is the same way. Their mindset is, I'm going to fight you until there's no time left, and then if you give me another 5 seconds, I'll still take that too.
Whoop.
And that's
You
just the
got
strength of a Kyle Polson there. 13-3, a 10-point lead. They're on the side right now. Brian should try to push himself out of bounds if he can and protect his back. Polson has locked this up pretty tightly, and Brian is in trouble, but he is edging out,
Coming out of
trying
there.
to kick it over. Now right there, they're out of bounds. And a 3-point near fall.
Is that right? 16?
16-2, that's a 16-3. So it's a 13-point lead right now. There's a caution on Ackerman. I'm not sure it's a starting position there. 1:15 to go here in the third period. Brian is down by 13 points. He gives him the 1.
16-4.
So we have a 4-point decision. Now at this point, Polson probably gave him the 1, figuring that he might not be able to turn him over, and if he did, it would only be a tech fall and not have an opportunity to pin.
And they let him up again. He wants to fix his headgear.
I'm not sure why, while he was on top, he didn't stop the bout to let him fix that headgear. It's 18-5, a 13-point lead. A takedown here, and the bout is over, in which case Brian Ackerman, I mean, unless he can turn him right to his back, in which case Brian Ackerman has done a pretty good job considering we still have Kyle Polson, because he's not going to give it the 6. And he certainly was in a position
Well, he was in a
times where
couple
he could
of times that just fought through it.
Absolutely.
A lesser wrestler certainly would have caved in there, I think. He showed a lot of courage. As you said, Paulson's a tough young man. There's the takedown.
And that's the bout.
You don't? Okay.
2-4.
So he gets 5 there, right?
3 is 9, 11, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Right.
20-5 is the final score. A tech fall at, let's see, that's 5:24 of the third period. And we are at 27-23 with the Bears in the lead. Timmy Ackerman is the Bears wrestler against the first of the twins for the Chiefs, Kevron Joseph, here at 140 pounds. Kevron is a senior. And
Kevron and Kevon. Okay.
this is a key bout right now.
The Bears need to win this one.
Only because, and I don't think any coach wants to leave the bout in the hands of a young wrestler who has never had a varsity bout in his life, and that's what would happen if Jason Shelsby ends up being the deciding wrestler. So Timmy Ackerman is a key bout right now.
140 pounds, one bout remaining at 145.
Gets in quickly on that leg. And again, here it's an Ackerman trait. You're not going to get it easy. You may get it, but it's going to be a fight. Hard drive to the mat, and
for the takedown.
Joseph gets that 2 points right.
They're going back to the middle. 1:14 remaining here in the first period, with Joseph up 2-0 over Tim Ackerman. Yeah, he's going to let him up.
That seems to be the
Piscataway.
theme.
Yeah, this is
That's
their
the theme tonight.
This is their MO here.
Well, the Chiefs have been good on their feet. They have gotten takedowns quite consistently, and they've gotten in on the legs of the Bears wrestlers quite a bit. So giving that one hasn't hurt them. You know, there was an example earlier, I guess, with Dmitry Kuznets, when he tried to give that one, but he never got the two back.
Right.
And so from his standpoint, the strategy wasn't good. Piscataway has taken advantage of the situation a little bit more.
All right, we got 2-1 in favor of Joseph over Ackerman at 41 seconds remaining here.
He gets in on that high crotch, hooks the leg, and Joseph fights it with the whizzer. They come up. Timmy came in a little bit too aggressive.
A little bit off balance there. Almost got caught.
Tries to switch in underneath.
I don't think it's there. Joseph is pretty.
An injury time.
Blood time. Blood time for the Piscataway wrestler. Looks like he's got a bloody lip.
Well, the concern
now, what I started to say was Joseph is a fairly long, tall wrestler, right. And Ackerman was trying to grab a leg there and just didn't seem to have enough leverage or reach to get a hold of that.
Well, we've seen that on both sides. You had a situation earlier with John Park, who was quite a bit taller than Forrester. He was leaning and wasn't able to finish off his moves because he was stretching out too far, and Forrester was able to get underneath. In this situation, Timmy's the shorter wrestler, and Joseph has sort of been able to fend him off a little bit and keep him away.
Well, as we can see where the camera is on the Piscataway wrestler, I guess that's the trainer and assistant coach. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Cleaning up his lip there. He's got his gloves on, cleaning the blood off. And, of course, he was getting the Piscataway rub down there. He was rubbing his arms. I guess they wouldn't rub the lip or something, but I don't know.
I won't even.
Don't touch that.
I won't even touch that.
No.
I don't know if anybody else is being entertained, but I'm entertained tonight.
Okay, well, that's okay.
Blood time.
This is an entertaining bout here
really
against Joseph against Ackerman, and certainly.
Well, I'm sure for Glenn Pazinko it's not been entertaining. This has been a very tough bout.
I'm sure his insides are turning here because the Bears need a victory here at this weight class.
This is a very big. It's a very big match for the team, and it's a big bout right now for the team as well. With Timmy, he tries to duck under there, couldn't quite finish that off on the fireman's carry, and the period comes to a close with Kevron Joseph leading 2-1.
Right. If obviously Timmy can win this, puts the Bears up 30-27, and they can't.
30-23.
30-23. I'm sorry, and they can't be caught. 7 points. It's not going to happen. So this is really a critical situation here for the Bears.
Very, very significant. Very significant. Joseph able to peel off those hands and get the escape.
Just into that second period, about 7 seconds. Joseph was up and out of there quick. He's very quick.
Timmy gets in, caught underneath there, and gets the takedown. Does Joseph.
We're 5-1 here. And Timmy...
no points. He's trying to get that front bar, and Timmy is able to fight that off, get in on the single, fights it off very well, and goes on the offensive.
Needs to keep driving that, right?
He's got to lift that or go out to the side and lift it or post the knee and shrug it past. He's got to get those legs back, and he does it. He's
One
able
on
to
an
get
escape, so we're 5-2.
Wow. Joseph's standing very upright, very straight. Those legs not even bent.
And it looks almost like he's putting a leg out there for him.
Yeah.
That is pretty easy from here.
Well, it's always easy from here. Well, good sprawl by Joseph. He was able to get back and fight that off. Timmy had a pretty good shot there, but was not able to penetrate deeply.
Timmy backing up to try to get him in the middle of the mat. He's got the leg now.
Pull that, pick it up.
Pick
Again,
it up
Joseph
and kick that other one out.
Timmy tried to hook that leg just a little bit too soon before he had the leverage. And that's an illegal hold. That was a scissoring of the head. And Bill Volova is going to question that one.
We're at 5-3 with 30 seconds remaining in the second period.
Bill Volova has come over, and he has the rule book in his hand. So
yeah, I know. He's going to quote him. See, I don't think that,
his
personally, my own opinion, there's no place for this. You know, I mean.
Well, the call was made. And
The call was made, it's over with, all right?
And the thing is, too,
if at the end of the period he wants to come over and ask a question, the kids get it. They're out there wrestling. That's what.
Coach
my
Volova
opinion.
was questioned, was there pressure on the head?
Yes.
The point is, it's not. I'm not sure if I've ever had to worry about that. It's either he's got the figure four, he's got the cross legs, he's scissored, or he hasn't.
Right. 20 seconds remaining here, Bob, in the second period, and we have 5-3 Joseph over Ackerman.
Now, Timmy's had a couple of good shots. He hasn't been able to finish him off. Joseph's been able to defend a little bit and get a shot like that and get the leg. Timmy's got to keep that whizzer in there and keep the pressure and fight off that control. Now, Timmy should use the sidelines and get out of bounds.
2.
And he was on the line, no back points, but Timmy gave it up. You know, as I said, Tim probably should have used that, but unfortunately, some kids are so tough, and Tim's one of them. They don't think about backing out. Right. They're going to fight it in bounds.
So it's 7-3 Piscataway, Joseph over Tim Ackerman, going into the third period. 2 minutes remaining in about.
Timmy Ackerman, the defensive position on the bottom. And
so Tim needs to get out of there or reverse it. Oh, he gave him a chance here.
He's got to get the leverage. He did not get outside far enough, and Joseph turns him over.
He's in trouble.
Timmy had a shot at that, but he had to get his weight outside to get a little more leverage as he reached for that far arm.
Pin. 27-29, Piscataway takes the lead going into the last bout.
The pin at 4:33 of the third period.
Coach Mazinko doesn't look extremely thrilled there. A lot of excitement on the Piscataway side because that could mean the bout right there.
That really could be, Charlie, because you know, Jason Shellsby coming in as a sophomore. He's been wrestling for a while in the rec program, but here is his first varsity match against Kevron Joseph's brother, Kevon.
This 12th grader against a 10th grader.
And I have to say, I don't know anything about Jason other than the fact he's got a 0-0 record. And that in itself makes this an interesting
Jason's in
bout.
a position that I'm not sure that I'd like to be in right now. Going against a senior in your first varsity bout and a young man who, if he's anything like his brother, was very quick.
Absolutely. Well,
and Kevron is going for the quick one, I think, here.
I'm not sure why. Nick Marone has normally been at 145 pounds for the Bears, and I don't know why he is out of the lineup tonight.
It could be that he's injured. I'm not sure.
He's on the bench, but not in uniform, so he may be injured. I don't know. And the fact that in the program they listed both names, it may have been that he might have been there, and it was just a hope. They were hoping for the best. Joseph gets the takedown here early in the period, and but Jason Shellsby fighting back. And he's going to get the escape as they go out of bounds in front of the Piscataway bench. So a 2-1 lead for Kevon Joseph here at 145 pounds over Jason Shellsby.
The final bout of the night with Piscataway up by 2 points.
Shellsby shoots in, gets a single. Bring him back in. Keep him in bounds. They stepped out. He had it. There's some inexperience, you know. Pull him back inside and finish it inbounds if you can. He had a pretty good shot in there, and he's certainly not worried about the fact that he's a senior in his first bout.
You know, usually you get out here in your first bout and you're very tentative. That's not the case with Jason. Jason obviously is a tough young man.
Well, you know, either ignorance is bliss or he's a real tough cookie.
Well, he's
one
tough.
or the other.
I think he's tough. I don't know. He's.
Well, if you're going to go out, let's go out in a blaze of glory.
That's for sure.
Joseph in on the single. He's got a pretty good lock on there.
He trips him.
And Shellsby pulls him down on himself as they go down.
And he rolled right out.
He rolled
of
through it.
Yeah,
So he had good. Now his hips are a little bit low, Joseph's are, and he's not necessarily in a great position.
No points there. Okay, we're at 4-1. 32 seconds remaining here in the first period. That's Joseph up 4-1 over Shelsby of the Bears. This is the final bout of the evening. Piscataway up 29-27.
Well, a 4-1 lead for Kevon Joseph here at 1:45 as we come down under 20 seconds.
He's got him here, huh?
He's got that half in, and Shelsby fighting it. 10 seconds to go. He's turned him over. He's got a high bridge. He's fighting it.
He's got to stay up there.
Jason's
5,
up there pretty
4,
high.
3, 2, 1, 0. He fought his way through it.
Tough fight by Jason Shelsby.
And he pushes him off him after the horn.
7-1.
7-1. I'm going to tell you something. I've seen a few guys be able to bridge through that like Jason just did, but that takes a lot of strength.
It takes a lot of strength, a lot of guts.
It's real easy to to say, hey, it's all over with. Good night. Let's go home. But got another 2 there. It's 9-1.
The experience.
2 more. Now he may get pinned. Jason may get pinned, but I'll tell you, fighting through that at the end of that period was
nice roll through there. Jason Shelsby is not showing any signs of being a sophomore against a senior, although certainly the experience of Joseph is showing through in some of the ways he's handled the moves he's done out there and controlling the situation.
This guy, Jason Shelsby, is a tough young man. Bridging and staying out of that pinning, getting pinned there at the end of that period, to me, showed a lot of guts.
1 minute to go here in the second period. He is down by 8, 11-3, and certainly at this point, he's certainly looking to try to make that big kill, one big move, turn him and let it go all out.
He's got to try to catch him in something here because this is. One more point for a neutral position. 12-3, 45 seconds remaining.
Jason lost control there as they went out of bounds, and again shoots in for the leg, and he has it, switches
Now
to the
he's got
double.
a double, takes him down.
And gets the takedown.
So it's 12-5. That's a 7-point difference. Working up top here.
A lot of pluck on the side of Jason Shelsby here.
Hey, you know, he might have beaten Nick in a wrestle off or something.
Well, I think I was
No?
just leaning forward, and they said I think Nick has either a rash or some kind of it's not impetigo, but a skin situation
so
that he
that's
couldn't
the
wrestle.
reason. Okay. Because Nick is a pretty tough guy.
Nick has been wrestling very well.
Ooh, he had him.
No control there, but
No, I know.
not a hesitation on the part of Jason Shelsby to give it a shot. You know, it almost looks like slowly
17.
he's wearing down Kevon Joseph. He's got the double leg in there. He's putting the power half.
That's it. Keep pushing that. Put that elbow in the back of the head.
Pressure
Push
the
your
head.
face in there. That
You gotta
hurts.
watch your hips. Scoot. You gotta scoot.
Scoot. What do we mean by scoot?
Well,
Bob?
his hips were underneath him. He had to get outside. He was falling backwards, and he was pulling him back on top. And he's got to scoot his hips outside. I was coaching more than a commentator.
Yeah, you were. Well, that was a commentary. That was.
He really had to scoot out, get his hips outside, throw that crossface in to bring him down. They're going
going neutral here. The last 2 minutes of this bout and of the match here, or the meet. Control by Joseph, 2 points. We're up 14-5, Piscataway.
I was starting to say,
Jason's
Charlie,
trying to turn into him there and reverse that, but
when Shelsby was using that power half over there, and
right.
just putting you said pressuring the back of that head, he wasn't letting up. It almost looked like Joseph was slowing down a little bit and was feeling the pressure of having suddenly given up a lot of points, and he was under the gun.
No points there. I guess not enough time exposing the back. We're down to 117.
Well, he's just looking for a tilt right now to pick up a few more points, is Joseph. And he's willing to ride it out right now. He doesn't have to pin him. He just has to win right now.
1:03 in the final period. He's trying to get his hand out, trying not to get that back exposed. We got a lot of coaching going on Piscataway side, and the East Brunswick coaches, Coach Piscataway up trying to give some encouragement.
38 seconds to go here, and right there, that's the kind of move you
Now,
need. Just
at that
quick
point,
reversal.
when he turned, he had to turn into him.
He had
right?
to turn into him,
Right.
and put the pressure on. He was underneath him. If he could rotate, almost like an axis down the middle of your body, just spin on that,
Right.
and rotate your belly down.
35 seconds, gonna let him up. Makes it 14-7. Correction, 14-6, excuse me. 24 seconds remaining.
I think he gave him that 1 point because he was a little bit unsure of himself on top because Shelsby kept coming back at him.
Right.
And right there, he probably should have stepped out and started again.
2 points, 16-6, so we got a 10-point differential.
10 seconds to go.
8, 6, 5. Piscataway's gonna win this one. Turn through, 16-6.
Kevon Joseph with a win at 145 pounds, and that seals the win for Piscataway, 32-27.
33, I think.
33?
Yeah, that was a 4-point.
Oh, sorry, you're right. 33.
33-27. So the Bears will fall to 7-3, whereas Piscataway goes to 10-3.
Well, it pretty much came out the way we were looking at it. The upper weights for Piscataway came through very strong for them. The lower weights for the Bears came through very powerfully. A number of pins in there along the way.
When you look through the 14 bouts, what do you see, Bob? There's a turning point.
Well, I think certainly at 135 pounds, Brian Ackerman with the tech fall, but to a Kyle Polson, the kid who's as good as that fellow is, that certainly got the
momentum.
Piscataway back going because the Bears are up 27-18. Suddenly they had a 5-point loss and then a 6-point after that to brother Tim when he got pinned. And I think right there that turned it around. The Bears had picked up some momentum when Mike Corona came on the mat and got that pin, and they won 1-2. They got back-to-back pins at 103 and 112, but then they won some bouts, lost a close bout, and but I think a point here and a point there made all the difference in the world. Some close bouts along the way, but the bottom line was that at the end where there was some weakness on the part of the Bears, Piscataway took advantage of it.
I think it was 7-7 in terms of bouts.
You may be right.
Is that accurate? I don't know. At any rate, we'll wrap it up here. A last word, Bob?
It was expected to be a close match, and certainly it was. The Bears have those 3 losses, and every one I think is by about 6 points. That's been the margin of victory.
Or less than. I think 6 was the most.
They're winning, and they're losing well, if you want to call it that. But unfortunately, this was a loss in the Group 4. For Group 4 school, power points were at stake here, and so I'm not sure where Piscataway stood in there. As of right now, the Bears, as we were saying, we're number 4 in the region in the section. But Piscataway certainly poked their head up above the tree line with this win.
So that could drop us out of that top 4.
Well, whether it dropped us out of there or not, they take the top 6, but it certainly puts Piscataway in the thick of it right now, and the Bears have to pick up some wins down the line now as they go in towards the GMC tournament. They have
so GMC tournament's coming up on the
7th and
8th. 7th and 8th.
Right.
Then we have the districts or the team championship.
Yeah, they have a tri-meet coming up this weekend at Colonia. That's important, and they have the GMCs next week. So a lot of things going on. They have to get some wins this weekend, get back on track. They've kind of hit a little bump in the road, and that's been tough for the Bears.
Okay, and the state's coming up after that.
Right.
But we want to congratulate both Piscataway and East Brunswick on an outstanding,
exciting, very exciting bout.
7-7. It came down to different bouts, and the Bears, even though they come up a little short tonight, certainly did extremely well, and credit to East Brunswick Wrestling.
Certainly on an individual basis, some good wrestling, and certainly they got some good wins. But you said it's a team sport. That's what we're looking for.
Okay, and we'll, at that point, sign off. And thank you very much, Bob Cancro. This is Charlie King for TV3, and good evening.